Hello and welcome to Nintendo Pals Podcast, episode 102. Tonight, Pokemon Presents happened. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks and the beautiful, beautiful saxophone music they contain. We're talking all of that and more. Well, greetings, fellow Nintendo Pals. I am Andros, and this is Nintendo Pals Podcast, the show all about Nintendo and friendship. And I am joined by extra special guests tonight. I am joined by the All-In crew, both the All-In crew, the other best duo on the internet that does Nintendo podcasts.
I'll take that. It's the all-in sweep. You got both of us tonight.
Yes, they do. That is Seth.
Yo.
And Eric.
And Eric. I'm always and Eric, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us, Andros. It's the all-in sweep tonight for episode 102. The all-in sweep. I mean, we basically should just call us the Nintendo all-in pals.
Oh, yes. Because you guys outnumber me tonight. So this is more of an all-in show than a Nintendo Pals show.
We can do a hostile takeover right now. We can do a mutiny.
Seth, get our intro music ready to go.
Get him!
I'm just like, up.
Yeah.
Exactly. I got booted.
Kicked from the Spartan kick from the all-in.
This is our show now.
For those that haven't heard of the All-In podcast, it is one of the greatest Nintendo podcasts on the internet, hosted by these two lovely gentlemen, and each and every week they cover news, rumors, games they're playing, and extremely well produced and done interviews and top fives and special topics. I mean, this is a hodgepodge, and it's a journey. I mean, buckle up. These are like 3-hour long episodes, but they're recorded in chunks that are really easy to listen to in those chunks. I am a big fan of the show. I listen to pretty much every single episode. I think I missed the first couple, but since discovering, I've been on board, and it's a fantastic show. Sorry, I'm here selling your guys' show. Do you guys want to plug it?
Look,
what do you have to say?
No, I think you sold it pretty well. It's a weekly Nintendo variety show. We're available on every podcast platform that we could think of. And me and Eric here, we just love Nintendo, and we have decades and decades of combined Nintendo experience and broadcasting and podcasting experience between us. So we just put our powers together, and now 113 episodes strong. If you're watching this live, the new episode goes live tomorrow. Look, we've been doing it for a long time. We started up right around the same time as Nintendo Pals. So we kind of consider Andros and Micah like a sister podcast, and we love hanging out with you guys and collabing with you guys as much as possible. And it's been great, man.
Yeah, it has really been awesome. We've done a lot of cross-community game nights as well, which has been a ton of fun.
Sure, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yes, we will. And you know what? Maybe we should jump over to that. But before we do, I got to ask you, do you guys know what we're doing tonight?
I know a little bit about, I like to go into this, fairly blind, but I do like to know a couple things about, so I can sound relatively intelligent. That's a tall ask for me most nights, so I do make an attempt.
Well, I know. Hang on. Can I say it? Can I say it?
Go for it.
Trying to take over the world?
That's what we're doing tonight. We're going to try to take over the world of Nintendo podcasts. And to do that, we brought in All-In for some help here. But you, listener, can help us as well by leaving us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, and Audible. All of those places allow you to leave a 5-star review and helps people discover the show and helps us feel good about ourselves. we are sad to announce that the streak has died. It has been about 3
Oh.
months of every week we had a new 5-star review to shout out. But this week, it finally came to an end. You know what? We cannot let this stand. Everybody, drop down and leave those 5-star reviews, because seriously, it's the only way that we can take over the world. And we really do appreciate those. And shout out and thanks to everyone who has left us one so far. With that, I don't think I've got any other like housekeeping type items to do. So let's just jump on into the next segment of our show and let's talk what you playing. Alrighty, we'll start with our guests, and we'll start specifically with you, Eric. What have you been playing lately, my guy?
Well, since we are a Nintendo podcast, there's been a fairly notable high-profile Nintendo release over the past week that we are gearing up for a massive review on, and you got to play a game to basically review it. That's what I was told, at least when I went to my journalism class, or
Good
at
policy.
least when I just...
I don't think everybody follows that policy, especially with this game. But
Well,
yeah,
it's true.
yeah.
Well, I say journalism class. I basically just printed off some weird random certificate from online.
A certificate, yeah.
But that's what I was told, at least. So Seth and I have been playing a ton of a game that you will someday own and play through the entirety of, Andros. We've been playing
I don't know about that,
so much of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And you'll have to wait for our review to hear our full impressions. I've got to say, early thoughts, though, are looking fairly positive. It's one of those games you turn on and you just wind up losing like 4, 5, 6 hours to.
Or 40.
Or 40, yeah. somehow, mostly sleep deprivation, but somehow over the past week, I have managed to find almost 40 hours to put into this game.
That is still so crazy to me. He said this, like when we recorded our show, he told me that.
Didn't this come out Friday?
Yes.
So it's been 1 week.
Yes.
You put a full-time job's hours into this game.
I'm serious about our show and about Nintendo content creation, Andros.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do this
moly.
review. Listen, man, like that is impressive and speaks to how great the game is. What have been your favorite parts about it so far? I don't want to spoil your guys' full review, but
my favorite part about it is basically how I've just been running on coffee the entire time while I've been playing it, frankly. But I love like just vaguely gestures that whole game.
Yeah, all of it.
I don't get me wrong, I love Xenoblade Chronicles 2 deeply. It's one of my favorite JRPGs I've ever played. And a lot of it does have to come down to a lot of the design choices and how they speak to me personally. Mm-hmm. And I've got to say, some of the design choices don't necessarily speak to me directly as strongly as a lot of the ones in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 did, but it feels like an objectively better experience so far. A lot of the design choices, specifically when it comes to the combat and when it comes to specifically the structure of the game just in general, I felt like just all the design choices were, if not as good or better than a lot of the design choices from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. From, like I said, just structure and game flow and stuff like that. I love the characters and the setting and the world of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I can't help but think that there are so many objectively better things in this game. And again, I'm comparing it to a game that I already consider one of the greatest JRPGs of all time.
High praise. High praise.
It's like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Like I said, tune into our review whenever we have it.
Whenever it happens.
For our full impressions of the game. But aside from that, I will shout this out real quick. A wonderful little shadow drop from the Nintendo Switch eShop this past week from SNK, another in their Neo Geo Pocket Color series. They released Mega Man Battle and Fighters. And I was incredibly happy about that. That was a first-minute purchase for me. It's effectively a demake of a couple arcade games that were, I think, first released in, Oh, yeah. Nice, Andros.
There he is.
There we go. Nice little Mega Man shirt on there, Andros.
Yeah, I'm wearing the Gauntlet
that's
shirt
good.
I was telling you.
Oh,
telling you guys about.
yeah, the Gauntlet shirt. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Which is like all the hardest NES games, all the characters on one shirt.
Nice.
It's pretty fun.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Mega Man Battle and Fighters, like I said, it's a demake of a couple arcade games. I really like it. In addition to that, SNK announced a new Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection collection that's coming, and I'm sure that's going to be on it, but I'm super excited for that. But aside from that, I played some Mario Kart. Did you guys know that? I played some Mario Kart yesterday.
Me too. Funny you
Really?
should mention that.
That is so crazy. We
What a
both played
coincidence.
Mario Kart?
We both played Mario Kart at the same time. It was
Nice.
Yeah, that was
Seth,
so fun.
you should have played Mario Kart.
I did play Mario Kart.
You did play.
course
All
I played
three of us played Mario Kart last night. Oh my god! Oh my god! Ah!
I can't believe
on
it.
Fire.
I can't believe it. Yeah, we had an absolute blast doing Mario Kart with the community. Eric's Rosalina was I got very familiar with the back of Rosalina.
Right.
But yeah, good. It's great.
It's so much fun.
It's really good, man.
I know that Seth and I have been long biding our time, long awaiting the return of the mythical Waluigi pinball.
Yeah,
Of course.
And we certainly got that, and we had a lot of fun. But turns out you guys had a secret darling there that you fell in love with.
Yeah. Seth and I were both very much infatuated with the music specifically, and the level design is really fun of Sydney Sprint.
Yeah.
And it is
So
just such a good, like, the music track to me is an instant, like, get this up in my top 10 tracks of all time. It's so good. They go so hard on the saxophone for no reason other than it's Mario Kart and we love the saxophone in this game. I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe features so many like saxophone solos.
It's a very brassy, yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
it is. It is. And yeah, I went and yoinked that one off the web as soon as we finished recording. I was like, I need this song. So yeah, it's really good.
I don't know, just thinking about the saxophone just made me think that I don't know why, but I would like to play Sydney Sprint with Endless Whisper played over it for some reason.
I mean, you could do that. Yeah, mute your TV and just do it that way. No, it's I would have to listen back to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe OST in its entirety to place it, but I think Sydney Sprint might be my favorite piece of music in the entire game.
I think I agree. Yeah.
It's
really
good.
I will have to listen back as well. I'm a big fan of Dolphin Shoals for the same reason. It has a really good saxophone solo. The lick that they throw in is so like, oh, it's
ear candy, dude. It's total ear candy.
Yeah, I mean, I just like listen to that all day. But this one matches that and more. I'd say.
Oh
yeah.
So good. The tour tracks in general are a total, with Wave 1 and Wave 2, like a total highlight, man. Like it is so clear to me that Mario Kart Tour had like really good tracks. Like the microtransactions aside, Mario Kart Tour has got some really good tracks. I'm so happy that we have them in Mario Kart 8.
A non-predatory frame.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they're great courses. You've mentioned it on several of your streams and shows, Seth. But that's not the problem with Mario Kart Tour. The courses are amazing. Hey, let's bring over some of those costumes as well. I think those are also really cool.
I'm down.
Yeah,
I made my own pitch for the next Mario Kart, so we'll see if Nintendo was listening to that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they will because they're just making more of this one.
Just make more of this.
Maybe we need to start pitching. Maybe we need to start pitching for more DLC. Like that's like, hey, just
I'm
get
down.
This game never ends. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. So we had somebody in our Discord. Who was it? I think it might have been Sparky. I think Sparky in our Discord might have said, like, hey, like literally, where do you even go from here? Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is already, in terms of gameplay, it really is pretty much perfect. Like there's not too much more in terms of gameplay that you could really improve with. You could add to it, you could polish it, whatever. But in terms of like raw gameplay, Mario Kart 8 is really kind of the apex. It's like, what do you even want?
Well, you do what a lot of franchises are doing is you keep the gameplay, you keep what works basically the exact same, but you just try to add gimmicks to it. That's what Kirby's been doing for years. That's what Pokemon's been doing for years. Is you kept the core gameplay basically unchanged, but you try to throw in hopefully an interesting new gimmick to it all.
Right.
So that's what Mario Kart 9, and that was the whole pitch. I said is just keep all that the same, but what you do is you just throw in an interesting new idea that helps elevate the gameplay. And I think that's what they're going to have to do. You can always add more courses. You can add more costumes, more characters. You can always add more content to it. But yeah, ultimately, that was one of the problems with Soul Calibur, was the original Soul Calibur was basically a perfect game, and they didn't really know where to go from there.
How do you follow it up?
Exactly.
You add Link. That's what you do.
that is what they did. That's absolutely what they did. And many people were mad about grabs for years.
I completely agree with you on all your points there, because I think that they could add just more modes. I mean, people have been clamoring for another Double Dash. Just make that a mode, an optional mode. You can play Double Dash mode.
That'd be sick.
And we were talking last night. Let's go full battle royale. Throw in 99 players. Maybe not that many. 50 players, 30 players, all into a match, and each race it whittles it down till the last one with like the top 5 or something. Like that would be really fun. There's a lot you could do mode wise.
I like the entire pitch that I made would take way too long to respurt at here, but 2 ideas that I think that could really, really help diversify the game a lot is add mirror mode to every CC. Add the ability to play mirror courses at any CC you want, and also add the ability to play reverse.
Yeah.
Like you're going the wrong way around the track.
Right, and a lot of the original 8 courses are designed around that anyway, because they were the battle courses when it was on Wii U. That's that, yeah.
So be able to play, and immediately you multiply the number of courses you have by 4. Because you've got the normal version of the course, the mirror version of the course, the reverse version of the course, and then the mirror reverse version of the course.
And you get a lot of mileage out of existing things that are already in the game.
That's actually a quality pun. I respect that.
Yeah,
that is a good pun. I think just more options in general are always good for these, especially like multiplayer centric games. I mean, like that's why that's what makes Smash so fun. Like that I can go in there and adjust every single item, and I can like do all these little tweaks and make custom game modes. Like I would love to see that in Mario Kart for sure.
For sure. Eric, you got any other games you want to highlight that you've been playing? I think you covered everything that I heard you played on your show.
Surprise game! I was saving it for this.
Well, I was saving it just for this.
Yeah, I somehow put 100 hours into
boyfriend dungeon.
Yeah, he literally has not slept.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't actually me. I created an automaton to help.
Yeah, this is AI generated deep fake paid actor.
Eric.
Yeah.
No, but that's somehow, like, even saying all that back to myself, I'm like, how was there enough time on the clock for me to do all that, in addition to everything else that Seth and I had to do for our show, in addition to everything else that I had to do in my personal and professional life? I genuinely look back at this past week and like, there wasn't that many hours in this week. I know there wasn't.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel it too. Wait till we get to my list of like one game.
Oh, me too.
But, yeah. Go ahead, Seth. What have you been playing? Let's go over to you.
Well, yeah. So I mean, Xenoblade 3. Again, I'm playing that as much as I can. I've put in like half the amount of time Eric has, but I literally thought I was like, I put in like 16 hours. That's pretty. That's a lot, right? And then Eric's like, no, try 40. So, but
I wasn't trying to make it a competition. I just was like, I'm somehow able to put 40 hours in. And then you just looked at me like, I don't know if I actually believe you.
No, I look, I believe you. I'm like, you have found a time vortex and I want you to show me the way is
Take
what I'm
me
saying.
to your time travel closet.
I will take you right to my coffee maker. I have no problem with that.
Look, I try to stay caffeinated as much as possible, but that only does so much. But yeah, so I'm like 20-ish hours into Xenoblade, also loving it.
For those listening to the audio, I just got to point out that Eric just busted out a gallon jug of water.
I love it. I love it. I drink a lot of water on our podcast. It's just straight vodka. I drink a lot of water on our podcast, but I usually have these like water bottles. Eric's just like, no, massive gallon jug of water. So
how you guys doing?
Respect. Respect.
Next week we'll have Seth one up and he'll come here with a fire hose.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll just be dragging a kiddie pool into my office.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. So Xenoblade, I've been playing that, of course. I bought Frogun. I haven't booted it up yet. I want to play it.
I forgot about Frogun. Yeah, you guys were talking about that on your show.
Yeah.
Like, I played the Steam Next Fest demo. I really enjoyed it. I've been following the game for like months. I really like it. And I know I'm going to enjoy it, but I haven't even had time to boot it up. I've been working on ever since I know we're going to talk about the Pokemon Presents, but ever since the Pokemon Presents, like right after that, I had like an idea for a video essay pop into my head. And so I just had to get it out. So I've been working on that. So between that and like things going on in the personal life and whatnot, I genuinely haven't really had time for anything else. So yeah, my what you've been playing list is short.
That's a fantastic transition to me because I have had the same problem with I have this video that is like, I got to get this done.
Yes.
And that sucks away all of my free time, unfortunately, because it takes a while. You would know, people out there listening, I can say that it's easily like an hour per minute of video on what I produce. And I got to imagine for Seth, it's more so maybe because, I mean, you also do a lot of research and script beforehand, which I mean, it's a different kind of format, very good videos. But
yeah,
like,
it depends, but yeah.
It takes away so much of that time that I would be using for gaming, but
right.
I do somehow fit in some time still for Spelunky 2. Again, my son has been really into it, and we have the goal to beat it together. And so
that's so great.
It's a little bit of a handicap because
I was going to ask, is he like good at it?
He is actually pretty decent. The problem he has is, I mean, he's 5. So he uses up his resources too quickly. So he uses his bombs up right away, and then we'll be out of bombs, and then we'll maybe like accidentally die and then be brought back. Because when you die in that game in co-op, you get brought back in the next level by the player, if the other player is still alive.
They're in like a coffin, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the next level, yeah.
But they come back with no resources. But I mean, we do a great job splitting the resources and stuff. Here's the thing as well. My win record is not very high. I'm not that great at this game myself. But playing together, I mean, it's so fun. It's been a great time, and he has been asking to do it because that's our goal. We're gonna beat it together.
It's one of Seth's favorite games of all time, and I haven't played it yet. I absolutely need to.
Spelunky 1 and 2 are genuinely 2 of the best games ever made. And like I say that with no hyperbole. Like, just in terms of game design, you almost can't get better than Spelunky 1 and 2. And like the fact that your 5-year-old is able to competently play Spelunky 2 is wild, because those games are hard.
Please do not take that to mean that this game is easy. It is not. My son's quite a gamer. He's pretty good for his age, that's for sure. But like these games are brutally hard. They are roguelikes. They are punishing. There is unfair randomness that happens. But that's just how I like to play.
What are you talking about? Roguelikes have always been known for how approachable and easy they are.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's primarily what I'm playing. And then, when I have some spare time, I am really wanting to get back to Mario Maker 2. I have been
Yes.
Oh,
trying
cool.
I have been trying for the Iron Bros challenge, which is a
Oh
challenge put
my
out.
God, have you really?
Yeah, it's
Oh
been
man.
trying. Emphasis on trying. The goal is to get in the Iron Bros challenge is to get through 50 levels
Yep.
on normal difficulty through the Mario Endless Challenge with 1 life. If you die at all, you have to reset.
Yeah.
Roguelike. Right?
See, that's the thing. Like all these
Spelunky.
Mario Maker challenges, it's like you're just leaving yourself up to RNG. Like if you want to,
Mhm.
like if you're
Mhm.
having fun, more power to you. But I see so many like super endless expert and
Mhm.
all these different challenges. Like you have no
Kaizo
clue.
levels.
Yeah, what's going to come up?
Yeah.
There are levels that have required deaths in order to beat them. There's the end of the challenge right there. So
Well,
it
I don't
really
think
is just a crapshoot.
I don't think that's actually possible to do. Typically people do design levels like that, but you have to be able to beat it in one go. So they've typically
Right.
hidden some sort of like dev door.
Yeah, there are
But to
dev
find
exits
that,
everywhere. Yeah,
to
exactly.
find that is like sometimes near impossible. It's a
Yeah.
hidden block in a completely random or hard to get to. Yeah, you are 100% right. Sometimes there's just trash dealt to you, and that's part of the fun of the challenge. I think I've gotten ones where it's like, hey, here you go. Pick a door.
Yeah.
And one of the doors leads to the end. The rest are death traps. You just fall onto spikes and die, and that is normal difficulty.
I would
Challenge over.
if I got to level 49 or 50 and it gave me a pick-a-pipe and that's how I died, I would quit video games.
Yeah, that would be super upsetting. Well, so far, only one person has completed this challenge, and they completed it by a wide margin. I think they got up to like 72 before.
No kidding.
Before
Wow.
I don't know the name of the person offhand, but yeah, no one else. All these like
I don't think it wasn't Pooh Bear,
professional.
was it?
No, it was
It
not.
wasn't
And
Pooh Bear, it
he's
wasn't
yeah,
Panga.
Grand Pooh Bear is the originator of the challenge, I guess.
Yeah.
He's the one
Wasn't
that
DGR.
Wait.
DGR?
There's one person on planet Earth that has done it?
At least has publicly and has proof of doing it. Yeah.
That's wild. Okay.
So we got to get in on this. We could become Mario Maker creators right now.
Well, I've actually
person.
created a couple levels for the show. I need to re-upload this. You can play through them.
Oh, yes. I definitely
I've made some
would be
too.
down for that.
Yeah.
Mario Maker 2 is such a fun game in that it is kind of like an endless content of sorts.
Yeah.
And then I also want to highlight that this week I tuned in for a Cosmic stream. Cosmic, good friend of the show. He's actually going to be on the show later in the month, which will be a blast.
Nice.
Did crowd control for Super Mario Bros, which I think just launched. And for those that haven't played crowd control before, I'm looking into trying it out for my stream on. I don't know. I'm gonna look at what games are available and see what I can do. But essentially, the live audience watching, can pay coins to do things to the game.
Yep.
Like in this case, you could spawn enemies. You could change the background palette. You could change the music. So fun.
That's
So
cool.
definitely check that out if you haven't already. Anybody out there looking for that, and stay tuned for maybe a future stream where I'll be doing some crowd control gaming.
Heck yeah, that's cool.
And I think that's a good spot to wrap up what you playing. Thank you to Eric for doing the heavy lifting on that this week, playing everything, and especially thank you to Eric's Coffee Maker for making all that possible for Eric.
You have no idea. But I'll go ahead and end this segment since we're about to move into a more news-oriented talk, right?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and maybe I need to play some Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl this weekend because as we've been recording, as a matter of fact, Hugh Neutron was dropped in the game.
Oh,
Ooh.
what? Of course they would wait until after we recorded our news roundup to do that. Of course.
Yeah. Hey,
of course.
They got to say, well, if you had recorded at your regular time, so it's my fault.
That's all right.
Everybody go listen to All In. they're not outdated news. All the rest of it's relevant and fresh.
Retroactively, we talked about Hugh Neutron and All In. Retroactive.
Pretend.
We'll just clip it. Clip this
clip
segment
this
and throw
special,
this in.
Yeah, special guest Andros for 2 minutes of
For 2
of
minutes.
All In.
Wow, Hugh Neutron's here. Holy moly. I just had to come on for the 2 minutes to do that.
He's actually going to cut that into the episode now.
Oh, I hope you do, Sam.
But
That would be
little piece of end of the week news to get us started.
nice. I forgot though, Eric. We do have one thing before we jump into the news. So that's a tease to the news segment. But before we move to news, I got to shout out our sponsor. Support for Nintendo Pals is brought to you by Manscaped. Listen, we're all playing Mario Kart out there, and as you know, as you're coming through some of these races, you get a real close shave. Well, if you like that feeling of a real close shave, you can get that through the Lawnmower 4.0, which is a fantastic trimmer. I have one. I use mine all the time. It comes with a nice LED light, a ceramic blade. It's like my go-to for shaving now because it's just so nice. But you can also jump in and get a full Manscaped package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver deodorant for down under, and the Crop Reviving toner, which I had somewhere over here. Hold on.
Man,
I keep this stuff on hand because it is marketed for down under, but it just smells really good, and so I have it here for when I'm here under the studio lights. My $12 Walmart lamp
in the palatial Nintendo Pals estate.
You just need some good smelly stuff, and we got that here. So you can get a exclusive deal from us, the Nintendo Pals, by using our code NPALS at manscaped.com, and that will get you 20% off and free shipping. So that is NPALS at manscaped.com. Thanks again to Manscaped for sponsoring us here at Nintendo Pals. We do appreciate it, and definitely do check out. Support the show, help us out by using code NPALS at manscaped.com. And now, let's jump on over to the next segment of our show, and let's talk the Nintendo news. Alrighty. Pokemon Presents. We had a Pokemon Presents this week.
We did.
First off, I just want to get your overall, before we dive into it, what did you guys think overall of the Direct? Either you guys want to share your thoughts. What was your what's the grade you give it?
Oh, okay. So if I were to give it a grade, I'm gonna try to be nice. Probably a B-, I would say.
That's nicer than I'm gonna give it. That makes you feel better.
Solid C. How dare you, Pokemon Company? How dare you get my hopes up for Let's Go Johto?
Oh, we'll talk about it.
I was trying not to get to C.
Here.
I was trying not to get to C, but
it's passable. C is passing.
That's true.
C's get degrees. They got my degree.
You know what? What? That's fair. You know what? Yeah, C. Well, I'll go an even C.
It's passing, but yeah, and the reason for that, I guess we can dive a little bit more into the specifics. First off, we got a look at the championships, the worldwide Pokemon championships, which were formerly just the trading card game, and I believe also the battle for the latest Pokemon game. Oh, did they have Pokken, or was that?
I think Pokken
was already in.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know if it's a member of the legacy games now, but I know that it's been played at the Pokemon World Championships.
But new additions to the World Championships are going to be Pokemon Go, which I thought was hilarious. I was looking at the guy frantically tapping at the table against someone on the other side, and Pokemon Unite, which makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go, maybe less so. It's popular, but I don't really view it as a competitive game. By any
Hashtag
means.
PokeMoba.
Sure.
But
yeah,
but Pokemon Unite makes complete sense.
It
It's
does.
the League of Legends for Pokemon.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. So we got to look at that, and then we got a look at some updates to some of those apps. I think Pokemon Go, they didn't really show anything new, did they? I think they just talked about some current events. And
yeah, they talked about a Pikachu thing. They talked about how, for the first time in a while, they're doing in-person stuff, and they've got 2 events going on this year.
But they did highlight that there are over 800 Pokemon in Pokemon Go at this point, which is
they're getting close
to all of them. Yeah. I was like, that is a lot. So that's
why they're
really
making
cool.
Scarlet and Violet. They realized they needed more
for Pokemon Go. Yeah, that's all they make new Pokemon games for now. They
with
make more Pokemon.
With as profitable as Pokemon Go is, that wouldn't completely surprise me if that were true.
It's not too crazy and out of the question. You're right. And then in addition to that, I'm trying to think what order this happened. Did we have the Pokemon Masters first? Yes. It was Masters and then Mewtwo.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Pokemon Masters.
Yeah,
so
it's right.
Eric's like, I remember. I'll never forget that day.
A CGI trailer showing the approaching of Pokemon Trainer Red. That iconic scene.
Moment.
From Silver, Gold, Crystal, where you climb the mountain and get to Red. And I, live reacting to it, was like, it's Let's Go. It's Let's Go Johto. It has to be, right? Like, because... And
how dare you?
No, it was not. It was actually Pokemon Masters, which is another one of their apps that they've been putting a lot of effort and work into.
They have. I think it was for the 3rd anniversary of Pokemon Masters. But and this is something we said on our show, they had to know. They had to know that there's still so much interest in a sequel to Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, that when they rendered that scene in full 3D, that people were going to have expectations.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't for specifically Let's Go Johto, the expectation of something in that realm.
Yeah.
A new game, some new take on some, because it didn't look like a mobile app, because it was a Pokemon Presents. We thought there was a good chance of something new getting announced. And that, whatever it was, most people thought it was Let's Go Johto. I certainly did. You certainly did,
yep.
Andros. But it certainly had the feeling of something new being announced.
Yeah, I mean, a full CGI rendered bit for that, and it doesn't fit the style at all of the game, which is actually usually very similar to in art style to the anime. And so if they had done that exact same thing with more of an anime look, I think I wouldn't have been as I don't know. Maybe I would have still been psyched. Maybe I'm just a hopeful dreamer for new games.
You naive idiot.
Yeah. I'm a naive angel, as Bayonetta might call me.
I like that.
I like
that. It is wild though, because Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are still within the top 10 best-selling Switch games.
Exactly.
They sold extraordinarily well, and like Eric just said, the Pokemon Go connective tissue is huge, and I'm really, really surprised that we still have not had a sequel to those. Those came out in 2018.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
You've predicted during a couple of these presentations, a couple of Nintendo Directs, a couple of these Pokemon Presents, you've actually predicted that we would get Let's Go Johto, and
gotta happen at some point, man.
I think they're honestly just doing this to spite you at this point, Seth.
Probably. That's probably
they gotta be. Yeah. I don't know what the deal is there, but Pokemon Masters, and then that was followed up by a Mewtwo reveal for Pokemon Cafe Remix. I mean, I don't really have much to talk about with that one. I thought the trailer was funny.
It was funny.
Intense Mewtwo, and then he got a rumbly tumbly, and then he has to go to the cafe. But then that bit went on too long. They were like, and look at this thing, and this is what you do to get Mewtwo, and this is the mode that you can play that will help you get Mewtwo. And it felt like they really were very much explaining how this would all work. And for me personally, I felt like even if you are into these games, these aren't the types of games that you need a big presentation for.
No.
Like this information could have come in like an update to the app itself. You could see it and read it.
You know what? We should probably come up with an app where you can just easily just type in information and project it out to other people in the world. Maybe restrict it to 140 characters, just to keep things nice and succinct. But we should really come up with something.
I don't know.
That allows companies to do stuff like that.
I feel like that. I feel like that whole thing would just become a bunch of people complaining. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
That's fair.
Well, it is funny because it's the exact opposite tactic that Nintendo has taken. Mm-hmm. Because Nintendo has sort of been like, we know that we have a lot of stuff this fall, and so we didn't necessarily feel like we needed a June Direct, like a proper June Direct beyond the partner showcase that we got. And so a lot of our kind of first party announcements can be Twitter drops or whatever. Meanwhile, Pokemon's like, we're going to do a whole presentation just to give you a new Scarlet and Violet trailer and just for some updates on some of our apps, and that's it. Like, that was wild to me. Like, you guys really woke me up at 6 o'clock in the morning to come out and watch this, just a bunch of updates for your apps, and that's cool for those audiences, but like, I don't know how many of those people care. Like, I don't know how many of the wide Pokemon Go audience or the Pokemon Masters audience are those people up at 6 a.m. watching these? Probably not.
No. Yeah.
It's people like us who want new games, who want, by the way, I'll say it one more time, Detective Pikachu. People who want Detective Pikachu to be announced for Switch, I will not forget that. It's got to be coming to Switch. Even like updates on Pokemon Sleep, which we haven't heard about in forever. Like, where is that kind of stuff? That was what was really disappointing to me about this presentation. Like, we'll talk about the Scarlet and Violet info. That was all great, but like, you could have just dropped that on Twitter too. That could have just been a trailer on Twitter.
Its own, yeah. I agree. I agree on all accounts. I do think I don't know if I don't like it. If that makes any sense.
I don't not like it, but it's disappointing.
Yeah.
I think the best way to put this entire presentation, for the most part, is this is the Pokemon world equivalent of, this didn't need to be a work call, this could have been an email.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like I may have some major bias in having an opinion like that because I'm just not a mobile gamer. I just do not care about any of the things in that presentation except for the end, which was the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet update. And we got a lot of info in that.
We did.
And so it felt like that was the meat, and they tacked on the rest to fill the... But because they're like, hey, you're here for the Scarlet and Violet, but here's some advertisements for these games we want you to play as well on your phone while you're waiting. And
I mean, that's a good point. And that does make sense. You do need to build the audiences of those apps. That's how they become successful. That's how they make money. So, I mean, that is a fair point. But they realized they just had a couple things to talk about with a lot of different things and just said, well, we technically have enough. We could turn this into a full presentation. Let's do that.
Yeah, that is how it feels. That is how it feels because there was no new thing. There was no spin-off game or an update on an announced game like Detective Pikachu 2. Nothing. Like, and that's where I felt this Pokemon Presents fell a little lower than the previous ones because they have had all of these apps get mentioned in like every Pokemon Presents. At this point, it's been the last like 4 that they will just go for a while on the app updates and then typically throw in a new main game of some kind, or an update on that, game, or DLC, or they will do or a spin-off. But this didn't have that. It just had an update on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which is great. So let's talk about that.
Yes.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, we got new info, some of which I found interesting. We have the new Terra transformation mechanic that makes your Pokemon all diamondy and gives them a nice chandelier for their head. That interestingly looks like the chandelier is, or like the crown, whatever that, it looks like a chandelier to me. The crown is signifying of the type that the Pokemon has. So you'll, if you have like a water, like a Terra water type, you'll have that water crown, and that same crown will be on a different Pokemon in some way. It'll look the same. So you'll be able to tell when they do their transformation, which looks to be similar to Z moves, where not Z moves, Mega Evolution or Gigantamax. Like it's a thing you activate, and then boom, they're on the field like that. So
it looks to me as if somebody at the Pokemon Company came up with the idea to sell glassware tourist gift shop store sculptures of Pokemon, and they were like, how can we market this?
That would be, I mean, but I'd buy that.
I know.
I
would too. That's the problem. But do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if at the beginning of next year a massive new line of glassware Pokemon sculptures is announced.
You're probably exactly right. Eric actually made a really good point on our show about that I hadn't considered before, but and I'll let Eric explain it better than me, but it is interesting what these new forms are doing for PvP. Because it's the ability to change your typing, the ability to change a Pokemon's typing in the middle of a battle is massive for the competitive scene, which is cool to see that Scarlet and Violet are kind of accentuating when Pokemon Legends Arceus didn't have it at all. But Eric made the really astute point, I think, that like I don't know how much the casual Pokemon fan cares about that. You know?
Yeah, and I think that's the whole reason to make it flashy and diamondy. It's like, hey, look, you can get a cool hat for your Pokemon and make them look like a diamond. Like, it does feel like that. I feel like battle mechanically, this could be huge, and I kind of would like to see it continue. I could see the Terra, like the sub-type thing, being a thing permanently now. Like IV and EV started as nothing and became a thing. Like that was a hidden value that was not intentionally, like it was not intended to be trained around. It was just kind of like, these are the things that will help determine your stats. But now it, like the competitive scene took that and ran with it, and now it is on purposely in the game, and they give you tools to like help increase your EVs and IVs as part of the in-game mechanics. And like the same thing with shiny hunting, and like these mechanics that were not really intended to be as big as they are have gotten bigger. I hope that happens here, but I kind of get the sense that this will go the way of every gimmick, and next generation it'll be dropped and never talked about again. You know, we don't have Mega Evolutions. We don't have.
We have Mega Evolutions.
No, not in Sword Shield.
No, they did bring it back for the it's some of the G-Max forms and some of the Dynamax forms. I was like, are those Mega Evolutions or are those G-Max?
Yeah, exactly. Like they had it for X and Y, and did they have it in Sun and Moon? You could do.
Yeah,
they
did.
You could.
Yeah, they did. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, but they had Z moves in that.
They did. But
that's gone. No Z moves.
But see, that's the thing, and this was the point I was making, is for the casual audience, you go from Mega Evolutions with awesome new forms, you go from Z moves, these incredibly satisfying cinematic attacks, you go from turning your Pokemon into actual kaijus, many of them direct references to famous kaijus like Gamera and Mothra and Ghidorah. You go from that to, oh, now I can change my type and I look a little glassy.
Yeah.
And Pokemon is a franchise that thrives in the casual market. And I just don't know if looking at those other gimmicks, if saying, oh, I'm grass type now, if that's going to be interesting enough. So I hope that's not the extent of it. I hope that there are much more interesting things to do with this. But don't get me wrong. I do understand for competitive play, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. I do understand for the hardcore audience of Pokemon, that is a big deal. But for the casual audience of Pokemon, if I'm looking at this as a casual fan, I'm like, that's kind of lame compared to Gigantamax. That's kind of lame compared to Mega Evolution.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. But there were a lot of announcements in this trailer, or a lot of things dove into this trailer. I think out of those, that was probably my least hyped for thing.
Sure.
They highlighted specifically that there will be 3 different stories. One of those will be the traditional go to the gyms and get the badges and challenge the Pokemon League. But they did highlight that you can challenge the gyms in any order, which, makes sense. Open world. Very excited for that. And then they didn't specifically say what the other 2 stories were, though we can kind of assume that one of them is this treasure hunt private study that your character is going to be doing. And then the third, you guys were guessing fighting whatever the equivalent Team Rocket is in this game.
Well, what I said was, I think one of them is going to be, the one we know, the traditional Pokemon adventure, grab the 8 badges, become the champion, great McNuggets for everybody. The second one is going to be the treasure hunt, which I think is going to turn into Save the World from the Bad People.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And then I think the third story is going to be the legendaries, because as we saw in the trailer, it very much looks like the legendaries, the title monsters of these games, are not exactly going to be late game objectives.
No, it would be weird if they were, because they appear to be pivotal to travel through the open world region. I'm excited about that. The third, can I throw out my prediction for what I think the third story is?
What do you think? This is your show?
I think this is Arceus. I think this is.
You think, really?
I think this is what I mean by that is the goal of Legends Arceus. Catch them all. Catch them all.
Okay.
Fill the Pokedex is the third. And it may be a bigger Pokedex like Arceus had, where it was not just catching it once, but catching it after doing this, getting enough research data on each of the Pokemon. That's my guess.
Cool.
Because that those fit to different audiences very well. I mean, if you're the collector type, you're going to go down that path. If you're I want to go challenge the gyms and become the champion, or if you want to go for just the treasure hunt story mode, that's my guess, but I don't know.
It's an interesting thought, because we got a shot of the way the Pokedex is filled in this one, and it's like a library style. It's like books. There's a lot of book imagery in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in general. Like the cover art is a book,
which also scares me. Reading is scary.
and we get a big old shot of the Academy's library with apparently a Psyduck receptionist, which is delightful. But that's an interesting point. Maybe it is something like that. But to Eric's point too, the idea of legendaries has always been huge with Pokemon, and particularly when we last saw the Pokemon series in its mainline form, aside from Arceus, of course, which is more of a spin-off, it was in Crown Tundra for Sword and Shield. And it is Sword and Shield's Crown Tundra expansion is very much modeled around legendaries. It had that mode where I forget what it's called. I think it's called Expeditions or something like that, where
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, you go through these series of raid battles that eventually culminate in a legendary raid battle, and they added 40 classic legendary monsters of the game or some such stuff like that. But I do wonder if it's going to be a version of that, because I don't expect that co-op is going to be a big factor in Scarlet and Violet, and I don't expect that we'll be able to do the story mode, the typical gym battle thing in co-op, but something like that, if it is like a legendary thing where it's like, hey, we're going to do raid battles together, we're going to work our way up to these legendary monsters, blah, 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 that could very easily be achievable in co-op. So I think there might be something to that. But they did leave that out intentionally.
Well, the thing is Pokemon knows how big legendary, like the whole concept of legendary Pokemon is. You know, that's one of the first things that we want to see when it comes to any Pokemon generation is like, ooh, I wonder what the legendaries are going to look like. It's a massive draw for every generation. Pokemon knows that. Again, you just talked about the Crown Tundra. The entire draw of that, one of the biggest draws of that DLC was those legendary raid expeditions, which added, if not all, mostly all of the previous legendaries from the entire series. They know how big of an idea legendary Pokemon are. They know how big of a carrot on a stick it is for players. So, I mean, the fact that the legendary Pokemon that we have been shown for the Paldea region,
which we just found out the name, by the way. I didn't mention
exactly,
that.
Exactly,
just got it, yeah.
Formally introduced to the Paldea region. But the fact that we have every indication that the legendary Pokemon are not going to be these big end-game achievements anymore. It makes me think that there are other Pokemon, other legendary Pokemon, that are going to wind up being the end-game achievements. Probably, like I said, based around that third story. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if even in the base game, not even DLC, would not surprise me at all if even in the base game they added some type of expedition in some way to catch previous legendaries, because again, it has become so intrinsically linked to the experience of the games.
Well, I'm thinking that they might not even have a villain team in this one. Sword and Shield barely had one with Team Yell. They weren't really they're not really an organization more than
they were like a fan club for Marty in that one.
Marty was great though. I loved Marty.
Yeah. No, so I'm wondering, maybe this game does not have an evil organization, and it is just Pokemon. like it is just the gym battle. Like they've been moving. Back in my day. Back in my day, as a Gen 1er, as they call us,
of course,
old guys, Team Rocket was just straight up the mafia. I mean, it's like a mob, and they don't really even have a plan other than we're gonna make a lot of money. Like that's our plan. And then you go to Johto, it's Team Rocket again.
Yep.
You go to Ruby Sapphire, and the evil teams there are in like a gang fight. But both of them have a pretty intense world-altering plan, and are kind of nefarious in those regards. Evil team. Diamond Pearl, I mean, he wants to reset the universe. But then from there, Black and White, you fight PETA. No, not really. But like they're out there to free Pokemon. It felt like from Gen 4 onward, the teams got a little bit less and less intense. And to me, I feel like that kind of fits the vibe that Pokemon is going for with a younger audience. Not having a mafia in the game, and just having it be a happy and nice world, and the enemy teams will reflect that. I mean, even Sun and Moon, like the enemy team in that game of Team Skull, they were just like hooligan.
They were goofy. I loved them. They were goofy.
They were not like, remotely intimidating, right? Like
you're not going to stop us from occasionally doing somewhat mischievous things.
No, we're going to spray paint this wall over here. What are you going to do about that?
They're street thugs, basically.
You must be stopped.
Let me pitch this though. Because I was just kind of thinking about that. I think you make a good point there, Andros, about kind of making the stakes of the game a little less intense and kind of making the villains a little less intense. I think that we've seen this several times in all of the Scarlet and Violet trailers, that symbol of the star with like looks like a Pikachu tail like carved into it, fragmenting it or whatever. I think that is the villain team. And we get a shot in this new trailer of this like kitted out like party bus that like
Oh
runs
yeah, the
through.
battle bus.
Yeah. Which has got it has that team's that logo on it on flags. I think that's the villain team. And to Eric's point earlier, I wouldn't be necessarily shocked if the treasure hunt is like a race against time with them. If it's like they're going after whatever this treasure is too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's like
and so the villain team is just like not really
it's like Indiana
a villain.
Jones.
Yeah.
It's like an Indiana Jones kind of vibe where it's like
You
I
asked
need to
me-
get
see
the
that.
treasure.
I can see that.
Yeah.
For
You
sure.
ask me, that car is the treasure.
That was a pretty cool car.
Somebody
was,
stole that from Bowser in Mario 3D World.
It is
Totally,
just his
yeah.
car just tricked out.
Sam, third strongest mole, Sam was watching me live react, and he was like, "What if that car just is a Pokemon because it doesn't have a driver
Please.
in that trailer?" I was like, "That'd be crazy."
They have a
It's
motorcycle.
just
I mean, these are motorcycle Pokemon.
yeah, we have
No,
multiple vehicular Pokemon.
No, motorcycles run on their wheels.
Yeah,
I know you're a little upset about this.
I
Can I
could care
just-
I don't know what you're talking about. I could care less. I have zero.
I
I'm
think I
completely
kinda-
indifferent. I have no opinion on it. What? So, and why did they?
I don't know. I think I kind of like Koraidon's absolute defiance of the fact that he has wheels. He's like, no.
He gives no cares.
Listen, the tread's gonna last real nice and long on that.
that's true. Not gonna have to
It's,
replace those
it's
for a
a
minute.
weird. It is a weird design choice, I think. But who knows? Maybe he uses his wheels, but we just didn't see it in the trailer. I don't know why they would not show that.
Koraidon is going to have the single greatest signature attack of all time. I've been sitting here being uncomfortably annoyed at the fact that Koraidon doesn't actually use his wheels for traversal. He's probably saving it for the single greatest signature attack in Pokemon history. That
There
would
you
be
go.
amazing.
Yeah. I'm pretty. I think that the idea of having these legendaries that are essentially world traversal, all terrain vehicles is pretty cool. We got a taste of that with Arceus,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed that in Arceus, minus maybe the climbing. That was weird, but I mean it was there.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. Yeah, that was super bizarre.
You're like tucked into a little wicker basket on the back of this Hisui
I
and
got into like
Sneasel.
Twitter arguments over that
I
because
just
I was
can't-
like, this is weird. I'm actually playing as the Pokemon in that moment. I could
Mhm.
play that game Sneasler percent, from that point on. If you could throw the Pokeball from within Sneasler's pouch, you could just play that game Sneasler percent.
That would be pretty fun. That would be pretty fun.
So weird.
I need that mod now.
I'm glad that they showed this off. They did show more multiplayer. Seth and I asked, and they did. We were both on the
Yes.
Nintendo Drive this week. Shout out to our buddy Sean Capri, welcoming us onto their their prestigious show.
That was
where-
awesome.
It was super fun. It was great. And we were both like, I want multiplayer. That's what we wanted to see. And they did. But Seth, was it enough? Because it wasn't for me. I was like, I still don't feel like I got any more information.
Yeah, I mean,
I still can't tell if it's real. If it's real full multiplayer, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
if it's like some limited, like it's like Animal Crossing, where you come and you're just there. You can't really do anything. You can't progress the story. You're just there. And I hope I am still very hesitantly believing that is what it's going to be, so that I'm not disappointed. But I do hope that it is. You can just play the full game in cooperative ways, and you can just play together. That would be so fun.
Yeah, I mean that'd be great. I don't think that's what they're gonna do. I think personally, I think that they're gonna keep the story stuff like gated behind. At least I think that's a huge reason why they're making this game so open. Like structurally, they're making it so open. There's like
Mhm.
all these different story things that you can chase down and do yourself. Maybe the treasure hunt stuff you can do in co-op, maybe the legendary stuff you can do in co-op, but things that are like very battle oriented outside of raid battles, it doesn't really make sense to have available in co-op, because like what are you going to do, have all four players engaging in the same battle?
I mean,
The only way
let's
you
go.
pull that off
Let's
is
go.
raid battles.
Let's go.
You know,
Had co-op. You could play
Yeah, I
two-player.
mean, you could do.
It
we've
was
had
unfair
duos.
and not
Sure.
balanced well.
We've had duo battles.
Hey, Brock, I'm rolling up with my homie, and you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just be surprised. I would be surprised if you could do the entire story that way. I mean, like, look,
just
I think
Pokemon
it'd be great.
Battle drive-bys.
Right, basically, yeah.
Like a full gang
Overkill.
attack. You are Team Rocket now. You're a full gang
Yeah.
terrorizing children for money.
I think it's mostly going to be, let's run around the open world together. Let's do these raid battles. Let's chase down these legendaries or whatever. I think that's going to be the bulk of
We did
what
get
the
raid.
co-op experience is.
We did get info on the raid battles are coming back, and I'm excited about that. And it looks
Me too.
You don't have to wait for your opponents. Does that mean it's going to be like asynchronous?
I hope so, because man, I hated
Active
that.
time battle system.
Yeah, like I loved actually the idea of raids in Sword and Shield. Had a lot of fun with it, but man, waiting on your turn is like agonizing. So it's gonna be awesome to.
I
have
just
real
feel
time.
I feel like that, and a lot of what this game's going to have legs.
I hope so.
Like Koraidon's legs.
Like Koraidon legs, yeah.
But it's going to be one that is played a lot and for a long time. It's going to have a lot of replay value and a lot of come back and keep going more with it. And I am very excited about that prospect.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
hope so.
We'll see. There's a lot of stuff going on. We've seen a lot on the game. It comes out in November. I'm sure we'll get another presentation before it comes out.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things, there's still so much we don't know about it. We've only seen like 6 new Pokemon from the entire game. We've only seen 1 gym leader. Speaking of, one of the things we've already mentioned is the fact that you can go and tackle the gyms in any order you want. Does that mean there's going to be scaling? I would actually kind of like it if there was.
I hope so. Or this game's going to be broken.
Well, yeah, because that was a big thing with Johto, is that Johto is also kind of open world, and the problem with that is I think the highest level wild Pokemon in Johto before you get to Kanto is level like 26 or something like that. Like, it's wild. The ceiling is super low because you can go anywhere you want. So I hope they do have some level of scaling.
Yeah, let's hope. And
we'll see.
Yeah, well, I have learned to just not expect a lot, and then I'll have a good time. I always enjoy Pokemon. I always have a good time with it. And there are a lot of newcomers to the series as well through this generation, through this console. We have Solo something here in chat said, Sword and Shield brought me into Pokemon. Arceus made me a Pokemon fan hungry for more. And
love that.
I mean, he's not alone in that. There are a bunch of people that are new to the series. So you hear a lot of us old Gen 1ers complaining about things, but I think the vast majority of people are going to just not have any complaints and just love the heck out of this game. And I will probably be one of those people.
Like, regardless of what happens, it's still going to be one of the top 10 selling Switch games.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Easy.
This could skyrocket up to number 1 because it's Pokemon. Like it's just that good. Well, I don't know. Actually, Mario Kart 8's pretty impossible to take over. Number 3. Number 3.
Arceus is it's like the 11th best-selling game on Nintendo's Switch, and the only reason it's not higher is because it was only one version.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, I think that about wraps up Pokemon Presents. So definitely check out live reactions to that from both All In and Nintendo Pals. You can see our live reactions to the presentation, and let us know your thoughts. What you guys think. You can hit us up on Discord or through our social medias. A couple more news items here. We already talked about this, so I'll just mention it. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pack has dropped.
Well, I mean, when it comes to Pokemon, we all kind of gave it a C, right? C.
Yep,
so it makes sense that we're transferring to Mario Kart with CCs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much for that transition. Segue of the year right there. I was about to get offended.
I
was
just
about to get
ended
offended.
I just ended all in right there. Seth's like, I can't podcast with him anymore.
I was about to get
Holy
offended
moly.
that you were going to give this a grade C, because can I just say that this booster pack was incredible, way better than the first wave, in my opinion.
I thought it was
like
better
the
than
first
wave.
I
too.
like the first
Yeah.
wave a lot, but this just had some really cool stuff.
I don't know. Ninja Hideaway is pretty epic.
Yeah,
Ninja
yeah.
Hideaway alone is like one of my favorite Mario
Mhm.
Kart tracks, but I mean, but still, pound for pound, I think this one was stronger. I mean, to have Waluigi Pinball,
Exactly.
alone,
Yeah.
I mean,
What a legendary track.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about Mushroom Gorge. That was really
That's
cool
true.
too. And
Great to
Mushroom
see
Gorge
that
is
back.
great. Yeah.
Calamari Desert, and they really revamped that one. You drive on the train tracks.
oh,
Intentionally?
When we all had that realization, because we were all neck and neck in that race,
Freaked
and we're all
out,
going,
yeah.
"Whoa, what's happening?" And just losing our minds. And then I almost got hit by a train and screamed very manly like.
Yeah, we have it
as the
on
train.
we have it on video. Quite a
it
few
was
of them.
captured. It was captured.
Yeah, and Coconut Mall update. Thank you, Ninfrendo, and
Yes!
Chad's pointing that out. We got an update.
Right.
Okay,
They fixed it.
almost. They almost fixed it.
Well, they go
Almost.
back and forth, and then they do the donut.
Yeah, no. There's just. Where's the Miis? The Miis are supposed to be driving
Oh,
these cars,
okay,
not
okay.
not
I
the,
agree
not
with
the
you.
shy guy, not the shy
Okay,
guy.
that's fair. That's
But
fair.
yes, they did fix the cars so that they're actually moving and doing their spinning thing. It's fun. I like that update. So yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We all highly recommend it. If you have the NSO expansion pack, you have these for free. So go download them, give them a shot, and just go play Sydney Sprint. Just listen to that beautiful music.
Just blast
man.
that music.
Oh yeah.
We had so much fun last night. Again, I said this on our show a couple times. Thank you to everybody who came out. We had a full room. It was so much
great.
fun. It was
Like
so
the
much
whole
fun.
night we had a full room. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
GG's all around.
All right. So I should have transitioned this, but Eric had my back there. He saved us. But next, just want to give a heads up for. Are you guys Monster Hunter fans? I don't know. I haven't. I've heard you
dude.
talk about it before.
Oh, dude.
Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak digital event has been announced for August 9th, and it will be covering news on Free Title Update 1, including Lucent Narga. I'm going to butcher these monster names. Nargacuga and the Basil Goose. I love it. Basil Goose.
Basil
And-
Dice.
Yeah. I think it's
more.
Bazelgeuse, I think is the actual, but I don't know.
I think it's
Bazella-
Tom. Just Tom.
Basil Guess. Basil Guess. Basil Goose is
say it 3
is what it will
times.
be for me forever. I'm sorry, everybody else. Yeah, you clap, say it 3 times, and you summon the Basil Goose.
Yep.
Yeah,
Voiced
so
by Michael Keaton.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like this game has been marketed to death, and they just
It
keep doing
is.
presentations, and I just don't think it's necessary anymore.
Well-
I mean, we already know about the title update. What's it going to show?
Well, 2 things. One, since Monster Hunter World became the best-selling game in Capcom history,
Yep.
Capcom is like, oh, we know which horse we need to back now, and we're going to back it fully.
Yeah.
That's why we had 1 billion trailers come out before Monster Hunter Stories 2. That's why we had 1 billion presentations prior to the release of Monster Hunter Rise, and that's why we're getting individual digital events just to show us what's coming in these free waves. And to be fair, they have actually done a pretty good job of giving us new gameplay information, of showing us stuff we didn't know in these. We already know about Albino Nargacuga. We already know about the new Battle Royale map. Not a Battle Royale, but the Battle Arena map is what I'm going to say.
I was
Yeah.
like, wait a second. I'm
Yeah. Battle
where
Arena
we
map is what I
dropping?
meant
Where
to
we
say.
dropping these monster hunters?
Where we dropping?
Tilted Tower. Let's go.
But they have done a good job of giving us new information. I don't think there's going to be too much, but I'll
Mhm.
give them the benefit of the doubt, at least for right now.
I can't complain. It's not in a direct, thankfully. if there was a direct,
that's
it would
true.
be.
That partner showcase
they
starting
just,
with Monster Hunter Rise was deflating.
I felt like they started with Monster Hunter like 6 times last year. Am I like imagining this? But it's like, oh, Monster Hunter. I thought this was out. Wait, what? Okay, it's the DLC. Wait, no, I thought the DLC was out. But anyway, they're putting it in its own presentation, so it's not.
They know where their bread is buttered, man.
It's not taking the
that's what it boils
airtime.
down to.
Not taking the airtime from other stuff. And yeah, if you are a fan of this game, they have gone hard. This is the game to get in on Monster Hunter. This is the one to do it for sure.
It's so good.
All right, so let's talk about this. This is teetering more on the realm of rumor, but I wanted to talk about it here. I can never remember how this news outlet's pronounced. Nikkei, Nike.
Nike. I think it's Nikkei.
Nikkei.
Yeah.
This was reported from Nikkei. It says there will be no new Nintendo hardware this fiscal year, which ends in March 2023. But this is not immediately clear whether that part of the article is from Nikkei's own reporting or what the Nintendo president who Nikkei interviewed for this story said. I could have told you that. You know, like it's not. Listen. We've been hearing rumors and rumors of rumors forever about some new Switch, and we're gonna talk about one here tonight. But I could have told you they're not gonna have one this fiscal year. There's no way. They don't need to. First off, and I think we're at a point where Nintendo's suffering from the shortages because we'll talk about this a little bit more in the rumor mill, but it's reported that the price of the Switch may be going up in Japan to help alleviate some of the price issues and because demand is up. And I don't know. I just don't. It's not the time to release a new system. Just ask PlayStation. Just ask Xbox. It's not the time.
I mean,
you guys have thoughts. I can see them. I can see them cooking on both y'all.
Go ahead, Eric.
I was going to say, I don't think the price increase doesn't ring true to me specifically because, and this was actually something we talked about on our show, was Nintendo knows about the shortages right now in terms of parts, but they they're still on pace for their numbers according to them. If they were worried about making their numbers according to them, if they were worried about the amount of production they were putting out, I could maybe see that. Mm-hmm. But according to them, they're still on track to meet their numbers for right now. So I don't think I don't see them entertaining a price hike.
Yeah, and there's no reason at that point to release a new system at this stage. I still feel like we're a couple years out from the next generation. They talked pretty openly about how they wanted this to be a longer life cycle for a system. And I mean, I know that there are people that are bummed out that it's underpowered, but it's going strong. Like the life of the system right now, the library is great. It's still getting constant new games. It's not dying. You know what I mean?
Too many games.
Like other systems kind of peter off over time in Nintendo's history. This one has not. It's just gained steam, you know?
If Shintaro, if they were planning on releasing a new piece of Nintendo hardware in this fiscal year, I don't know why Shintaro Furukawa would say that they would be. Like,
yeah.
Even if that was the plan, why would he say that? Because then you're immediately cannibalizing all of your holiday. There's totally going to be a new Switch hardware in, early spring. So don't buy our Splatoon 3 OLED. Don't do that.
That's what I'm about to say. It's like, there is a new hardware model coming.
Yeah.
And when I say model, I mean like runway type.
don't buy any of the new stuff that we have coming out. You know what I mean? Like, I think it would be kind of unwise. And Nintendo has a history of this too, by the way. They'll be interviewed about something, say they have no plans, and then like a week later actually announce. I think that's what they did with the DSi or something like that. Like they were literally interviewed like a week or something previous and said, no, there are no plans for new hardware. And then they announced new hardware. So it always kind of bugs me when places report on, like, when a place like Nikkei is like asking them stuff like that. It's like, what do you expect to get out of that? Like they're not gonna say one way or another. In terms of if I think it's like, time for a new Switch, I mean, like, no, I'm happy with what we have. I think people are still squeezing a lot of life out of this little thing, and sales haven't slowed down. The Switch is 5.5 years into its life and has never had a price cut. You know what I mean?
That's true.
It's still going extraordinarily strong.
Bonkers to think about how it's. I mean, you can get even the Black Friday deal has been the same for the past like 3.
Yeah,
and
it's still a full price Switch. They just give you Mario Kart.
Don't fix it, y'all. Like it's as simple as that.
Yep.
So.
And I just don't. I don't need it. I don't need a new system right now.
I need that Splatoon 3 one though. I will be getting that.
Yeah.
Which is significant.
Eric's got to upgrade.
Exactly.
It's an upgrade for him.
That's significant for me because the Nintendo Switch behind me, that's a day one. That's March 2017, day one Nintendo Switch.
The OLED as well. I haven't given really a report back since getting the OLED. I got the OLED on launch. I play in handheld so much more than I ever did before.
Me too.
It does make a difference. It does make a difference to wanting to play in handheld.
I can't wait to hear what Eric thinks of his OLED when he gets it, because Eric is like a 99% docked player.
Yeah, I was too. I never played handheld ever.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, I better get some use out of it, and I started playing on it. I'm like, this is pretty nice.
Wait, this is sick.
This is actually really good.
I want to hear Eric's take on it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear him talk about it.
Yeah, this will be good. All right, so closing up news items here. Last bit of news here. The Kirby 30th Anniversary Music Fest is streaming live globally next week. I'll see y'all at 2 a.m. Pacific time, which is 4 a.m.
No, you won't.
What time is that here?
I'm going to walk over to my coffee maker and brew us all a fresh pot for that.
That's 5 a.m. my time, I think, right?
5 a.m. Eastern.
Well, that's not too bad. Just wake up a little early or stay up a little bit later than I normally do. Man, that's going to be a time.
That's genuinely making me more tired right now just thinking about it.
I want to watch it, but I can't. I can't do that. I was just going to say, we do need to pump the brakes. We do need to pump the brakes before we wrap up the news, though.
Yeah. I was going to shout out. We've got Sean Capri in chat here who asks, did you guys cover the Maximus Cup? Sean, I did. Last week. Because this episode airs after the Maximus Cup is over.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I'm way ahead of you, Sean. I covered it before you did. We're good. But I didn't play it, if that's what you're asking. I got plenty of pings because we were on the Nintendo Drive this week. Shout out again to our buddy Sean Capri. We were on the Nintendo Drive and
raise my Diet Coke to you, sir.
And he tossed us a he was like, I'm gonna remind you guys about the Maximus Cup, because I was like, I never play them. I'm excited about them, but I never play them. And I got so many pings this weekend from various places. Hey, don't forget about the Maximus Cup. I'm like, thank you, everybody.
What was
now
great,
I'm
though,
just defiantly not playing it.
Now I'm just doing it out of spite. Yeah. What was great about that whole situation, though, was it was like, let's chastise Andros for playing Breath of the Wild, but then let's in the same breath talk about freaking Tetris 99. You know what I mean?
Listen. So, wait, Sean's not here to defend him. He's here in chat, but he's not here to defend himself right now. So I'm not going to throw him under the bus. He's great. Sean's the best.
We all love Sean Capri.
It was an intervention, though. I am going to get Xenoblade Chronicles 3, everybody. The pals that are waiting for me to do it. I'm doing it just eventually.
Look, no, I number one Sean Capri fan here, but let's be real, man. Like, we're not playing Tetris 99. Like, that's just not going to happen.
we're not playing Tetris 99. Eric, what are you playing Tetris 99? Did you play the Maximus Cup? Are you a Maximus Cup collector?
When does Tetris 99 release on the Nintendo Switch? That's the joke.
Yeah.
When does that come out?
Exactly, yeah. I tried it. Like, all the Battle Royale games that have come out, Pac-Man, 99, Tetris 99.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay, I won't say it.
Mario 35?
Yeah, okay. I didn't say it. Let the record show I didn't say it.
I just am still sad.
But I tried all of them.
I thought that one got Thanos snapped out of existence. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
I have no recollection of that.
You don't even remember it? It's like the spell in Spider-Man.
I also played Super Bomberman R Online, and I really enjoyed that one. Really looking forward to the new mode in the second one. So I've tried like all these Nintendo mascot versions of Battle Royales, and they're cool, and they're fun. But I fell off of Tetris 99 pretty hard because I'm much more of a casual Tetris person, and there are some ridiculously talented Tetris players online right now. If I get to the top half in Tetris 99, that's a win for me at this point. There are some ridiculous players to the point where it's kind of just made the game not fun for me.
Yep. Like Seth said, you got to bring a towel because it get real sweaty up in here.
Real sweaty. Good
grief. Well, speaking of real sweaty, why don't we hop out of this segment here? Transition. Let's hop out of this segment here and jump into the next part of our show, and let's go to visit our buddies, the rumor carrying Pikmin over at the Rumor Mill. That's right. Each and every week, we send out the rumor Pikmin to find us rumors, and they've brought us back some juicy ones. But I slapped one of those rumors right out of there. I was like, no, I am not going to look at this one. And I guess I'll start with that one, going out of order here in the notes. Music tracks have been data mined from the new Mario Kart update, and using the other leak that came with forwarder data mining, we can pretty much, cross all of our conspiracy boards together to figure out what courses are coming next. I am not looking at this. I'm consciously choosing not to look at this spoiler.
Me too.
Because I don't want to know. But it's out there. If you're interested, if we know some Pikmin that may may have the info you're looking for. This is the shady alley Pikmin that we use for the rumor.
That's basically kind of what we said on our show, is just like, tread carefully out there. If you look for it, you're going to find it. They basically have nailed down what the next wave is going to be. So if you don't want to know that, just try your best to stay as dark on that as possible. Yep.
It's not going to change the release date. We know it's going to be a ton of fun. It's not going to change the release date. Knowing how is that going to affect your enjoyment of the game? It's going to make it harder to wait for it if you know what they are.
Yeah, right. Don't open your Christmas presents before Christmas. Come on.
Yeah.
So, if you're the type of person that needs to know these things, that information is very readily available out there. But for me personally, I still like that sense of surprise, even in this postmodern internet, everything gets spoiled. I still very much enjoy that sense of surprise. I'm not the type of person to go online and look up scripts for movies and, plot analyses for movies that come out months later. I like to, I've seen them. I like to appreciate and I like to experience pieces of media in the way they were meant to be seen, in the most purest form possible. It is really hard to escape the rumors, though. And, there are certainly a few that I want to appear, but, we'll see.
Yeah. I just am choosing not to look at these ones. That's where I'm going to leave it. I hope that they are awesome. So we kind of already talked about the price hike, the potential price hike.
Yep.
Definitely in Japan, or not definitely, but looking like it's going to be that way in Japan, potentially. That's the rumor. And then the guess is like, well, will this become a global thing? I am in the camp with Eric. I don't think so. I don't see why they would raise the price on a system. Although, I mean, just recently, the Oculus announced that they're going to be doing that or Meta is going to be doing that for their Oculus Quest. They're going to hike the price up. And so I hope that they do not start a trend. That is not a good idea. That is bad business practice. Stop.
Well, it's still a very Japanese company. If Nintendo were a much more American headquartered company, I could maybe see them taking a few cues from Facebook, from Meta, because they have been such a trend-setting company in the past. But Nintendo, I mean, look at Nintendo's history, especially when it comes to their relationship and their competition with Sony and Microsoft.
Right.
They haven't been trying to chase specs. Nintendo has been doing their own thing this entire time,
right?
And it's been working for them. So that's another reason I don't see that happening personally.
Yep. But there is a rumor floating around of a new iteration of the Switch that is coming. This sprung up from a 4chan post by a supposed former employee of Nintendo that says that the next iteration of Switch will be a Switch Lite that has a 5G internet plan, essentially making the Switch its own hotspot on the go. Thoughts? What do you guys think of that?
It's interesting. I think if you're going to do it with anything, the Switch Lite makes a lot of sense. If you're going to do that, like if they were to integrate something like that, I think the Switch Lite makes the most sense to do it with. But, like, how does that work? Because you would have to, like, wouldn't you have to have, like, a mobile provider integrated with that? You know what I mean?
Wouldn't it? Hopefully, Nintendo's not going to jump into that market.
Oh, Lord.
There's no way that would work well.
5G plans from Nintendo? Eesh.
Yeah, so that's weird. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you wanted to do that, you could just like hotspot it to your phone or whatever. But, I think it's interesting. I think the Vita had a version like that where you could have like 3G or whatever. And, it worked okay. But I don't know. I don't know how necessary it is.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're playing in handheld, you're not typically wanting to play a online game. And especially hotspots notoriously have rougher internet connection. And so I just don't see, I don't think the tech is quite there. There yet.
Well, yeah.
For it to make sense on a Switch. Because if you're getting from your, like $900 phone, that's one thing, and you're paying for a service provider, like, but this is a Switch Lite. What I don't see how it's going to be able to handle that tech to the extent that it would need to even make sense.
I'm sure they could find a way. I just don't know. I'm sure a couple people like this exist. I just don't know how many people are out there that says, ooh, I'm about to link up with my guys to go play Monster Hunter. Let me take my Switch to the park.
Yeah.
As opposed to just
everyone in the Nintendo commercials. Take your dog out for a walk.
That's true. I forgot commercials are a perfect window into real life. That's a good point.
Yeah, you sit on the bench while your dog does something. I don't know what the dog was doing at that part.
On my rooftop party.
Oh yeah, go to the rooftop parties. You go sit in your little spot in the hallway next to the bathroom, not in the bathroom.
The Switch Lite's a weird one because like it makes sense to integrate something like that in the handheld only version of the Switch. That makes sense. Yeah. Where it doesn't really jive for me though is, for my money anyway, I feel like with the Switch Lite, Nintendo is talking to two markets. They're talking to the adults that wants the Switch Lite to be either kind of like on the go second Switch or whatever.
It's the perfect machine for a parent. Yeah, because it's something you can do kind of whip out as is. That's my wife's go-to.
Yeah, if Nintendo had a good way for me to seamlessly, if Nintendo had it figured out like Xbox did, where all of my stuff just seamlessly carries over, I don't have to think about it, whatever, I would have a Switch Lite, because the Switch Lite is a great piece of tech. Like it feels really solid. It's nice to hold in the hand. I would love to be able to just take that thing and just have everything transfer over, and it just makes sense. That would be great. It doesn't quite work that way, unfortunately. They haven't quite figured that out yet. But the second market that I think the Switch Lite appeals primarily to is kids. It's a cheaper, Nintendo Switch. It's sturdier. It doesn't have the breakable like Joy-Cons, even though they can still get drift apparently. But
yeah, that's and it's terrible because you have to send the whole thing in.
Yeah, but I mean, for kids don't care if the thing has got 5G internet. You know what I mean? So I just don't know that it makes a whole lot of sense.
Just sit here and play Minecraft in the park.
That's the thing, is Minecraft at this point has become very online integrated. So maybe they would. And Fortnite, those are very very online focused and would be big for that market. But you're right. Like they're not out there rallying for this. Like there's not like, my son's not coming up to me and going like, I need to be able to play the actually, well, that I'm lying, because he does ask me this in the car when we're playing with the Switch. He wants to play these games that he can't play because they require an internet connection to,
well, there you go,
to verify that the account can play that game.
Fair enough.
This is the problem with what you were talking about exactly, Seth. Multiple Switches just is hard with shared libraries. They don't make it easy.
They've got to figure that out.
And the secondary systems always have to be connected to Wi-Fi to be able to play digital games. And that's a problem. And so in the car, if one of the kids is playing a Switch Lite, they cannot play digital games. They just can't.
They've got to figure that out.
And so this would solve that. To do the check, the like, hey, are you actually able to play this game because this isn't your primary system? What's funny is my workaround for that is to do the check at home, turn the thing onto airplane mode, and then go, and the game will stay on.
Well, there you go. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Because and then you can have that game open on multiple systems. Because if this happens to me all the time, because my account is the primary that buys all the games. If my kids will jump in,
tell your kids to get a job and pay for their own games.
Yeah. If my kids jump on and open up a game, it will close my game and say, another user is on this account right now. Sorry. And I'm like, it is so frustrating because I mean, what am I supposed to tell them? Like, don't play these games because you are 100% right. They need to figure that out for sure, because these are family systems, and I'm not going to buy, besides Pokemon, multiple copies of the same game just so that everybody can play it, and buy it physical so it's easier for everybody. It's just a pain. I do want to point out in chat here, Solo Something says that he uses his hotspot to play from his phone to play Switch regularly, and it works pretty well. He plays Fortnite with it.
Okay,
so,
I've done that before.
So the tech is up to par, but I feel like if you're playing those kinds of games, it's still going to be a better experience not on the go.
Yeah. I think my last word on that is, if you're going to get that tech, wouldn't you just rather have that tech on your phone and do exactly that?
Yeah.
And hotspot it to your Switch, as opposed to trying to have that tech in your Switch itself?
Right.
I mean, because the phone is built more for that anyway. Wouldn't it be a better idea to have that in the phone and give that more capabilities?
Yep. Unless Nintendo's next Switch is just a phone.
I mean, at this point,
please don't put that negative energy out there.
Well,
don't wish that on me, Ricky Bobby.
You know what? We have a closing segment here that will help break out of that that negative energy, Seth. So let's head over to the last segment for tonight's show. Typically we have two more, but we're going to cut the PAL topic tonight. We're just going to do community corner to save on time. You guys have been podcasting a while as well, and we've got a pretty hefty community corner, which is community submitted questions and topics. So let's jump on over to the community corner. Jumped. All right.
Wahoo!
Our first question here comes from Monkey Thunder, who asks, for people that play Smash Bros. Online, when do you do rematch? When do you not rematch? I usually try and rematch unless it's not a fun matchup for me or if there's a ton of lag. I especially like to rematch those super close matches where it's down to the wire, but it seems like most people don't like to do rematch. I try to do best out of threes with everyone.
Yeah.
Eric, do you play a lot of Smash Online?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know you're the fighting game guy, so I assumed so, but I wasn't sure if maybe you were a purist and you're like, nah, the online's too bad, I can't do it.
Well, the online used to be bad. The online used to be terrible.
It's really good.
Now.
It's gotten much better.
It's gotten a ton. Like ever since Nintendo, that big story came out about Nintendo like switching out all their multiplayer servers and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we felt Nintendo's online connection last night. It was perfect.
Yeah, it was.
When we were playing on Mario Kart all the time we've spent on Monster Hunter, it's been like perfect. The dozens of hours that we spent online, I've maybe had one or two momentary glitches. So the online is there now, even in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Once that happened, then I started to play a lot of online Smash Brothers. Prior to that, it was a chore. But that's not the question. The question is, when do you rematch? And I mean, whenever you feel like you have a good opponent who doesn't have a lot of lag, ultimately, because of those new servers, I haven't really ran into that too often. There's been a couple that have been kind of hit and miss, which because of that, I've gone out. Like if the connection is bad, then yeah, one and done. But if you find a good opponent, somebody you're evenly matched with, the entire point of playing those games is to try to get better at them. And if you think you are fighting somebody who could potentially make you better at the game and you're enjoying yourself, why not rematch? But if you're not enjoying yourself and you don't think you're playing against somebody who could make you better, then don't rematch.
Yeah, I kind of go along the same lines as what Monkey Thunder said. I usually will rematch if it's a fun matchup for me and there's no lag. But if it's like a walloping one way or the other, I don't feel like it's that fun. So I typically don't rematch if it's like I get 3-stocked or they get 3-stocked or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
if it's not even, then
it's
then
not
it's
going to
probably
be
not
fun.
enjoyable.
Yeah. If I 3-stock someone and because I think you can see that they want to do a rematch if you just like wait there for a second.
I think so. Yeah.
And they want another shot, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll give them another shot. But if I win, I like that. Do best of threes, and yeah, that's sort of how I do it as well, Monkey Thunder. How about you, Seth?
Yeah, almost never. I'll be real with y'all.
I don't rematch ever.
Almost never. Just to be honest, I don't play a whole lot of Smash Brothers online unless it's with friends. I don't play against randoms in Smash all that much. Yeah, I normally play with like the community and play with Eric and do community game nights or whatever. But I don't often play Smash online with randos, and when I do, it's usually just because I want to come in, get a few like warm up matches in or whatever before I'm going to play with friends. So I don't often rematch. If I were more hardcore about it, I like the philosophy of what you guys are saying. Like I could see myself kind of vibing with that, but often I'm just kind of coming in, shake the rust off, cool, pop out. I might do like 2 matches total. You know what I mean? And so that's what it is for me.
I know a lot of people at this point in the meta are basically just like, oh, I'm fighting Steve, rage quit, and just immediately.
Sure, yeah.
Steve. Thanks so much for the question, Monkey Thunder. We'll jump to the next one here.
Thank you for coming out for Mario Kart last night, too.
Yes. Speaking of coming out for Mario Kart, we have next question from Mute Dog.
Yes.
Mute Dog, the gamer, who asks, what games are you interested in playing that has not been released in the USA? or games that have not been localized to English?
Hmm.
I'm going to toss this one over to Seth, who I know has answers.
Yes, he does.
Well, yeah, good question considering the timing. Next week on the 11th, so we do top fives on our show every week, and we did a top five recently of exactly this, the top 5 games from Japan that we want to have localized in the US. My number 2 was a Crayon Shinchan game that was made by Kazayabe and his team that was only ever in Japan. And next week it's getting localized and it's finally releasing on the Nintendo Switch. Kazayabe, for those who don't know, is probably most well known for Attack of the Friday Monsters here in the States, which was a 3DS game that I really love. And anyway, they're these kind of cozy, like, slice of life games, and he made this Crayon Shinchan game in Japan, and for the past like year and a half, it's never been localized, and now it is. It's coming out next week. It's already bought, downloaded on my Switch. I'm just waiting for it to unlock.
Nice.
I can't wait. That was literally number 2 on my list, right behind Mother 3 at my number 1. So my answer is literally coming out in a few days. So
let's go.
Yeah.
How about you, Eric? You got a pick for this?
Well, considering we just talked about Smash Brothers, and Seth, Seth already knows what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
So there was a game on the GameCube that came out called Dream Mix TV World Fighters. It's definitely, for everybody listening to this, it's definitely at least worth a Google, because Konami, Hudson Soft, and Takara, the company that owns the Transformers license in Japan, all got together and made a Smash clone.
That's right. I listened to this episode, yeah.
And it's as bonkers as everything I just said sounds.
Yeah, that one sounds so fun.
Yeah, the problem is it would be a licensing nightmare at this point, especially for a US release, because Takara has all that stuff and it's relatively straightforward. At least it was relatively straightforward when it came out on the GameCube. But with Hasbro and everything that they've got going on, and the fact that they own all the Transformers IPs here, like, it would be a legal hornet's nest. So it's not going to happen. But ever since discovering that game, I have wanted a way to play it. I need that game in my life somehow.
I don't know if I can follow this up, because I haven't really given this too much thought, because out of sight, out of mind. I didn't know that if the game's not here, I don't know about it. But I will shout out that we have a couple answers in our Discord that I think were really good.
Okay.
From Spider Shan says Dragon Quest X Offline Edition.
Yes.
Yep.
Big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Presto the Magnificent says Terranigma and Mother 3.
Yep.
Big ones.
Terranigma. Yep. I actually I owe Presto we're gonna, hopefully, if he's still down to do it, once we finish up with the Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I promised him that I would play Earthbound alongside him.
There you go.
Our first full playthrough. I played it a way back, but I never actually beat it, so it's technically in my backlog.
One that I will point out that it will not happen, but I would be very interested to try, is Captain Rainbow.
Oh yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Just because it's just a weird slice of Nintendo history. That's
a big one for me. I don't know if somebody in the Discord mentioned it or not, but Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yep.
Is a big one.
Oh,
is a big one for me.
Yeah. I forgot about that one as well.
The Zelda clone that's actually not really, is it? Because Zelda is technically a Frog for Whom the Bell's closed tone.
Yeah.
Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls clone.
And then I want to say, you guys might know this, but Custom Robo isn't there some exclusive Japan titles? I want those.
Yeah, we never got the N64 Custom Robos, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
As a matter of fact, those N64, like, there's an N64 Custom Robo on the NSO in Japan.
Both of them are.
So if you have a Japanese NSO, or if you have a Japanese account on your Nintendo Switch, you can actually play those Custom Robo N64 games now.
Yes. but they're not localized, and I can't read it.
No.
Just bring them over. I am glad that there's still exclusive games being released in Japan, but the vast majority of stuff, at least Nintendo wise, is getting localized. And I am so happy that we are out of this wacky, like 90s, early 2000s localization where they just don't do it for some games. Xenoblade is the story of a fight to get localization. And guess what? Now it's like one of the biggest dang series on the Switch. Like, nothing should be held back by that. But at the same time, then we have like these weird stories of like Mario Bros. 2, the lost levels, and the localization for that being like, oh, well, we'll just.
Oh, really? What's
turn
that
this
story? I've never heard of that.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, so like, I'm glad we are out of that era. There are cool games that came out of that era. I mean, Mario Bros. 2 is very cool.
Yeah.
USA Mario Bros. 2 is fun, and brought a lot of staples to the series that became Mario, even though it was not Mario originally. Was it Doki Doki Panic? Is the name of the original?
Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic. Yep.
So, I'm glad that we're out of that and we're into this spot where most everything gets localized. Localize everything. Everything should be localized. That's my opinion.
Localize everything. See, Nintendo Pal's getting woke now.
I know I'm pushing some heavy stuff here.
Breaking down barriers.
Thanks so much for the question, Mute Dog. That's a fun one to discuss. We need X to come to the Switch. Play Xenoblade Chronicles.
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yeah.
I do,
but that's
agree.
not a Japanese exclusive. Yeah. Next question comes from Presto, who asks, if every Zelda game on the planet disappeared forever except one, which one would you want to keep?
I think Link to the Past is the most replayable.
I probably would agree with that. It depends on the situation. Like, this is
we
so
answered this. Didn't we answer like the same question, but for all games?
We did, but
on Nintendo Drive. Yeah,
on Nintendo Drive. Yeah, my wife hates it when I do this. But are we talking about like my memory of them? Like, did they just disappear today and like I still remember all the old ones? Or are we under the assumption that none of them ever existed except for one?
Do both.
Does your answer change depending?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Well, give us both and explain.
If there were never another Zelda game, like if my memory, if we only ever got one, then and the franchise would not be what it is, obviously. But
I know what this answer is.
Yeah, but for me, it would be Majora's Mask if it were going to be just one, because that one, and you know, it's maybe my favorite game of all time. It was like really impactful for me. And I think some of the stories, you know, that are told and some of the really personal human things that game has to say, and the unique sort of, gameplay of it, while still retaining the Ocarina of Time framework, ultimately, like the way the game actually controls and plays is just like Ocarina of Time. So we would still kind of set forth the path that Ocarina of Time laid. We would just have all the weird stuff too. So in that weird hypothetical scenario, I would say Majora's Mask. Otherwise, though, I think I would agree with Eric on A Link to the Past. I do think that A Link to the Past for I personally think that A Link Between Worlds is a better game. But I do think that A Link to the Past is the most replayable Zelda game. So like if like that one is just so easy to fall back into, you know, and like it is the one that like if you could only ever play one, you know, and like if all the other ones disappeared tomorrow, it's like, okay, like I could see that, you know.
All right.
It is the one that I've replayed the most.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to have a wrong answer to this question.
That's fair.
No, I'm just kidding. My answer, I think I've got to go with Breath of the Wild. And this
For
can,
you, that makes sense, of course.
You can come in
Perfect,
and say recency bias. It's been out for 5 years now. Come on, there's no
Yeah.
recency bias here. This game's just cemented itself as one of the greatest games ever made. Prior to that, I'm for
and
a lot of the
have
same.
Virtually no YouTube content without of it.
Yeah, what would I do? What would I do? What would I do with my time? If like I can see Link to the Past because of what it is and does for the formula. And it's like peak of that style of the classic top down, like what I consider 2D Zelda. And I include Link Between Worlds in that 2D Zelda, or even though that's not
Oracle
full
and Minish
2D.
Cap, and
It's the peak. It's the peak of that series, and I think a lot of people have felt that way about Ocarina of Time, and I felt that way about Ocarina of Time until Breath of the Wild. I would say Twilight Princess was essentially Ocarina of Time expanded. So that one felt really good.
It was the emo phase of Ocarina of Time.
I mean, it has so much content as far as like dungeons and exploration goes. So, but Breath of the Wild just has so much you can do in it. Like you said, it is so replayable. That's what you said for Link to the Past. For me, Breath of the Wild is that same type of thing. There's so much you can do. Just a single playthrough, if you want 100% it, on average is going to take like 70 plus hours. But then if you want to go through and do some wacky challenges, like that game for me is one that will be able to be replayed over and over again almost infinitely. And that's why I actually picked this for, if all games ever, not just Zelda, got wiped, I think I would still pick Breath of the Wild. Barring games like Minecraft, where I feel like that's a bit of a cop-out answer because it's a game that just never ends. You can essentially build whatever you want. You could make a video game in it. That's using all those redstone. People are crazy. Yeah, so that's my answer. Presto asks, if you have time, which I'll say we will because I'm curious. I want to hear your guys' answer. Do the same for Mario. One Mario game.
I already know what Eric's. Go ahead, Eric. I already know what your answer is.
Galaxy.
Galaxy.
Oh yeah,
it's his favorite game of all time.
Galaxy is just. It's about as close to a perfect game as I've ever played, and just the setting, just this galaxy trekking adventure through the stars. The introduction of Rosalina. Yeah, there's a couple objective things. The bosses, especially like the individual galaxy bosses, are not really that difficult, and for the most part, not really that memorable. At least from a gameplay standpoint. From a character standpoint, I love, especially like Dino Piranha and Stone Bonefin and a lot of those. But from a gameplay perspective, a lot of them aren't very memorable. But that's really, if I absolutely had to nitpick something, that's really all I could say. It actually made me emotional going back and replaying it when the Mario 3D All-Stars collection got released a couple years ago now. But
that doesn't exist either. We don't know about that one.
Not anymore, yeah. But yeah, Galaxy is just... like that's not even just a video game to me. That is a very personal, intimate experience when I play that game.
Yeah, no, totally see why there. What do you got, Seth? What are you gonna pick?
Yeah, I it's kind of tough because I overanalyze questions like this. I just do. In terms of like game feel and how it is to play a Mario game and sort of like emotional resonant moments within a Mario game, for me it's Odyssey. Like that's
my favorite in the series for sure.
For me too, and like it's moments like Jump Up Superstar, and it's moments like I feel like nobody talks about not the end, not the thing that happens between like Bowser, Mario, and Peach, but the moment that happens between Mario and Bowser at the end of Mario Odyssey is one of the, I still can't believe that even happened. Like, I still can't believe that's a real thing that happened in a video game. And that was like, my jaw was on the floor at the end of Mario Odyssey when that happened. Like, that is one of the most unbelievable moments in any video game ever.
That was
for
one of
me.
the saddest things I had spoiled for me of all time. I was
Oh.
so sad. I was so sad because I was like, dang it. I should
And
not
it's like,
have clicked this
it's
video.
everything. It's like,
Wow, it's so cool. It's such a cool ending.
I have
Yeah.
goosebumps just thinking about it. Like the moment you throw the hat, and like the way you go through all the history of you feel the weight of all the history of those characters, and then like the song that plays while you're doing it, getting to
Honeymoon
save
Ridge.
Peach. Yeah, getting to save Peach as Mario, as Bowser. Like, it's wild, the implications of that. I couldn't even believe what I was doing. So for moments like that, Mario Odyssey for me is like unprecedented. And it also just like feels the best to play, has like these great, worlds and stuff like that. So I think overall my answer would be Odyssey. But I also like Super Mario Brothers 3 also accentuates like everything that I love about Mario. So like if only one Mario game existed, I would like Mario 3 is like this perfect little parcel of what I love about Mario, So it's tough.
So I'm in the same boat as you. I think Odyssey is my favorite in the entirety of the series. Except I'm not a Mario Bros. 3 stan. I am a Super Mario World guy myself. But I think Mario Bros. 3 is a fantastic game.
It is arguably the best game on the NES.
And yeah. I mean, it was the last one too,
for sure.
Hopefully they didn't release a bad one for the last one. It was so good, it's so great. Man, yeah, the things that, like, can you believe it's the same console as Mario Bros.
It's
1
wild.
and
We
2?
actually had this exact conversation not too long ago.
Yeah, it's wild.
Bonkers.
Looking at Mario Brothers 1 and Mario Brothers 3, like that's insane to me that those two happened on the same machine.
But for me, even though World and Odyssey are my favorite, I think if I'm gonna go with just one, it has to be 64.
Really? Okay.
Wow.
And
okay.
that is because 64 isn't just a Mario game. It defined 3D gaming. Like this is a pivotal transition in the history of gaming to make 3D gaming possible. And it just has that value of that replay value that I'd argue Galaxy has, and Mario Bros. 3. Like, it's just such a base of what Mario is, and the core of what Mario is, and that has been expanded on and done better since, and branched out. I firmly sit in the belief, my Mario philosophy is that we have 2D Mario, we have 3D Mario, and we have in between. And I throw 3D World, 3D Land, and Galaxy 1 and 2 on the in between because they're linear. They are linear Mario games on a 3D scale, and I sincerely hope we continue to see more of that because it's such a good formula. All four of those games are fantastic. But then I also like the just big sandboxy games. Odyssey, 64 are much more sandboxy. But then 2D. So it's hard for me to pick just one when there are three pillars. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm going,
Andros's answer, all of them.
Yeah, if I'm going with the in between pillar, I'm gonna be right up there. They're gonna say the Galaxy is just amazing. It's amazing, and so yeah, this was a harder one for me than Zelda for some reason. Even though I consider myself a bigger Zelda fan than Mario.
Right, same. Yeah,
I don't know. Great question though, Presto. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last question for tonight comes from Spider Shan. Thank you, Spider Shan, for giving a question, and here it is. He says, "I'm going to borrow/paraphrase a question from the Kit and Krista podcast this week because I think it was interesting. If someone who hasn't played video games before asked you how to get into the hobby, what 5 games in order would you have them play to ensure they develop a passion for gaming? Consider availability, ease of controls, game complexity." and all that jazz in your roadmap of games? Oh, I'm sorry. We have one more question. We have one more question after this as well. There's
Okay.
a smaller question. So, 5 games would you recommend? You know, the problem here is that we have a fantastic community, and I saw their answer. And well, can I just copy your homework, Ninfrendo? Because that was pretty good.
My initial thought, if you're trying to get somebody into games, my initial thought is, honestly, my initial thought is Super Mario World for the first one. Because it's very bright, very vibrant, but it plays perfectly, and it starts off super simple. Everybody, even if they're not into video games, they understand the basic premise of what Mario is.
Yeah.
It is a game where you run to the right and you jump.
Yeah.
And I think that for somebody who's just getting into video games, that would be the best way to introduce them to that, to the idea of controlling a character in a way that feels both satisfying and visually impressive.
That is an interesting take for a first thought, because I automatically was thinking, what can I get on Switch? Because I'm thinking accessibility, but that is on Switch. It is available on Switch. So I'm thinking like, for me, my number one pick is Mario Odyssey, and I know firsthand that this gets people into gaming because that is the game that broke my son into being able to get to this point where he's playing Spelunky 2, because it has assist mode, which gives an arrow on where you're supposed to go. The camera controls are completely optional because Mario, the camera does follow Mario 64 style. You can have free control, but if you don't, it will automatically turn and adjust to look at what you need to look at. It's this subtle design of helping, basically making the game more kid friendly that makes it more anybody friendly. And so with assist mode, if you fall off the edge, you are never going to die. You're just going to get bubbled and brought back up onto the platform. And I feel like it's just really, that game is so specifically designed for newcomers. And that's, and so it's a modern game, and it introduces players to a new 3D experience, because it's hard as a newcomer to gaming to play 3D games. To wrap your mind around dual joystick controls is not easy.
That's specifically why I chose Super Mario World. And another one I would probably choose, because I also feel like if you're going to choose 5 games, to mix up the genres a lot, to give people, an idea of just how wide a breadth this industry is in terms of genres, in terms of gameplay capabilities. And just because it's me, I think one of my 5 games would also be Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
All right, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Seth, you want to give a pick?
Yeah. Dark Souls, Neon White. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
My first recommendation for a newcomer, you should try out Dark Souls. I think that would really.
So, we're talking about on the Switch specifically?
No, that is not limited to the Switch. However, Spider-Shan does say to keep in mind accessibility and ease of controls. So, I mean, obviously, if it will be more accessible on new systems,
right? So if we're talking about that, then so my answer was going to be Wii Sports, which I talked about on Nintendo Drive earlier this week. Wii Sports is always my go-to answer for that. Wii Sports it breaks down every barrier. It is the most important game Nintendo's ever made. It is the game that everybody knows how to play immediately. With no instruction. I mean, you know how to play Wii Sports. You know how to take a remote and go bowling. You know what I mean? You know how to swing the remote and hit a tennis ball. You know, like that. It just works. And that game is magical, and it came from outer space. And I'll always, I'll always say that. So if we're talking about accessibility in terms of like the way in which these games are available in the modern age, then I do think Nintendo Switch Sports is a really good extension of that. that being said, like Nintendo Switch Sports is maybe a little bit more complicated than Wii Sports, but I still think that it would be a really good first introduction to video games in its raw form, and like you are
It's
playing a video game.
well, and it's also certainly one of the best ways to introduce someone to online gaming
Right.
because
Yeah.
it is Wii Sports in the online
Yeah.
space. So to someone who has not played online gaming at all, has never played with other people online, this is the one to start on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really like what Eric said. I think that there's a because I mean, you know, I mean, I know it's hard to imagine because we've all been gaming for so long, but like there was a time when we were introduced to games for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and for a great many of us, it was Mario, and it was,
And for some of us, it was Plock.
yeah.
Look what I am today, Dad. Thank you.
But for a lot of people, it was Mario, and it was you know, like Eric said. I mean, you run to the right and you jump, and you know, and all of a sudden you're like in a world and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think Minecraft is a really good example for like somebody's first game. There are some systems in place that you have to learn, but you can get a lot done in Minecraft with very little knowledge. And it also introduces you to the concept of like first person gaming. You have a lot of like accessibility options in terms of going into creative mode versus survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you can play it in co-op basically anywhere and on like any system. It couldn't be more accessible. So
yep,
those are a few that I would throw out. It's hard to come up with 5 like on the spot. But those are a few that I would throw out.
So I'm gonna toss out. So I already tossed out Mario Odyssey. I think pretty high up there on my first games intro list will also be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's peak of Mario Kart. It also is extremely accessible and understandable and playable by anyone. And then I'm gonna steal from Ninfrendo here. Animal Crossing New Horizons is just so easy to understand and is a very different type of game than what you're going to get from Mario Odyssey and Mario Kart. So I think it shows some variety here because there are lots of different types of gamers in the world, and I feel like we're mainly the gaming companies feel like they mainly market towards the alpha gamers that are playing the more intense games, but then there are these like slice of life games, farm simulators. I mean, like Animal Crossing is the gateway to Stardew Valley, and then you're hooked into Stardew Valley. You're playing everything that comes out with with farming mechanics because you need more.
Yeah, that's the same reason that I was thinking that Pokemon would be a good one to get people into like
shout out Pokemon
strategy games. Yeah.
Which one would you recommend first? Because I kind of think Let's Go is the spot to start as a brand new.
That's fair, actually. I'll give you that. That's
because it's easier. First off, it's like,
well, I mean,
it's the first gen, so you're getting introduced to the IP in just a much more, I don't know, like easy to play.
I don't know because I think I would go with, I don't know if I would go with Let's Go because, well, in this, if we're introducing them to video games, we would think of Let's Go because it's emblematic and it's taking cues from a game that in this scenario they wouldn't have already known about because they hadn't been introduced to it yet.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
Right.
So they would have already had to have been introduced to Go in order to have a better handle on that. So I think to start, I would actually start with a more traditional style. Maybe.
I thought you were going to say Go. I was like, all right, I'll allow it. I'm going to start with Pokemon
but
Go.
I would start with. I mean, honestly, Sword and Shield are still a very good representation of that. There are still some open world elements. If you need, once people are more, comfortable moving around in a 3D environment, they can start to explore those more open world elements like the wild area and like the DLC, which is already in-game content already. But it's baby's first RPG, frankly. It is the bottom tier, frankly. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but in terms of complexity, in terms of, nuance, you have 1v1 and both of them only know 4 attacks. So that's, if you're trying to show people the idea behind RPGs and strategy games and tactics games, that's kind of the bottom floor as far as I'm concerned in terms of complexity and in terms of nuance. From there, you can move on to stuff like Final Fantasy Tactics or Xenoblade Chronicles or Live Alive or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that a lot.
Basically any mainline Pokemon game fits that need, because I think they've all, that's why Pokemon is what it is.
Yep.
That's why it's the biggest entertainment franchise on the planet, is because basically anybody can enjoy it. I'll shout out real quick too, the one that I would like end my list, because it says in order, the one, once you've like kind of come into the fold and you understand kind of the very dry basics of video games, I'm actually going to shout out kind of a weird one that we covered on an indie showcase on our show a while ago. Well, I say, well, it was probably like a month ago. It's this game called There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension. We do indie showcases on our show every week where we highlight independent games. And one of the things that I said on that indie showcase is that I could recommend that game to literally anybody, because it has a very elegant and smartly designed hint system. It doesn't require, in fact, I would strongly recommend knowing nothing going in. And so you don't need to have a lot of pre-existing knowledge. It's in this perfect middle ground of, there's a lot of references and things you can pick up if you're a longtime gamer, but also it's an amazing little story that anybody can enjoy in the scope of like a feature film.
It's amazing. And it's so good.
Yeah. I mean, we were floored by it. And again,
that was one of my like games of the year last year. It is so good. I was listening to your guys' episode on it and was like, man, it's so good.
It's
the only bummer is that when it's done, it's done. You can't there's zero replay value in it. I mean, like you can try and go for faster times, but it's like it's not really designed for that.
No,
it's an escape room.
It's a very singular experience.
Yeah, you're gonna do it once, and then you'll be good.
But if you could play through There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension, and if by the end of it you aren't saying to yourself, I love video games, you know what I mean? Like that would be a Herculean feat. Like I think anybody can play it. And if you get stuck on a puzzle or whatever, again, hint system is super elegant, and I could recommend it to anybody. But I think by the end of playing that game, you will love video games, genuinely.
I want to throw out my number 4, and then some honorable mentions, and then give my like closing game. My number 4, I think, is going to be, and maybe this should have been higher up in the list because I forgot about it till just now. Jackbox Party Pack.
Great answer.
And it's, again, for a lot of the same reasons that Seth was highlighting Wii Sports. It's the accessibility. Anyone can play Jackbox that has a phone. And this is the one video game that I can get every relative to play at a get together always. There's not a problem. There's not a problem with that. So, and you can't go wrong with any of the packs. There's always at least one game in there that's going to be a hit, and then several good ones, and then some of the packs have just a bunch of good picks. Honorable mention to an indie title, Piku Niku. It was published by Devolver Digital. That was another one that introduced my kids to gaming. It's a platformer. Like a 2D platformer that is extremely simple. I enjoyed my time with it a lot, but there's no challenge to it almost at all. It's just more of a like, let me explore this pleasant world with charming characters, and it's got a good enough story and comedy to it that that I think is enjoyable to all ages, and it's short. It's one that you can kind of clear through and go, I finished a game. And so that was the second one after Mario Odyssey that my son played through in entirety. And then honorable mention here, Ninfrendo shouted out Fortnite as being like the best way to introduce someone to a shooter game, because it's one that doesn't take itself too seriously. There is something for everyone in Fortnite. If you are a fan of a thing, it is there. Like that's just how it is at this point. Unless you're a Nintendo fan, then it's not there. Sorry. Sorry. That's the only exclusion. But I mean, I've seen people come in and they're like, "What? Predators in this game? Oh man, I can play as a Street Fighter character." I have one of my friends has Chun-Li and
Boba Fett's in the game. That's all Seth cares about.
Star Wars.
That's it.
Star Wars is like great. A superhero. You like superheroes? You got them all of them. But my last game, I think, is going to have to be the best game of all time, Breath of the Wild. I think that's my number 5. Now,
I was waiting on it.
There's some bias, obviously, because it's my favorite game ever, but I actually do think they really designed that to be a very accessible Zelda game. It's no walk in the park game, but it does not. This isn't the first game you show someone. That's why I'm putting it at number 5.
Right.
Like this is one you have to have a basic understanding of like how games work, and then this one kind of turns all that on its head. You know, it's like putting people through rigorous training, and then for their final class, the teacher's not there. You're like, go and do what you've been trained to do. And in this game, it rewards that. It rewards this. I want to solve a puzzle. I'm going to figure out how to solve it. And it's not puzzles like traditional Zelda of slide this block and you get the key that you need to use up at this door. It's the puzzles of interacting with the environment and the characters in the environment. You could see a camp of bokoblins. There are at least 10 different ways that you can approach and take out the camp of bokoblins, or you could just walk away. Like the freedom of choice in that game exceeds any of these other games on my list, and one I think is important. It is certainly the first open world game I would show to anyone. I would not start someone on Skyrim or a Fallout, Elden Ring. No, like none of that stuff. This is the starting point for that genre of game and that type of fantasy game, I think, as well.
Well, I'll go ahead and add 2 more just really quickly here at the end.
Go for it.
Because I've already shouted out Super Mario World, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and Pokemon. I'll go ahead and just say pork. Sorry, thinking about Lechonk. Pokemon Sword and Shield. I would also show somebody Dr. Mario, just because it turned my conservative, fairly anti-video game father into a gamer. And that means that it's got to have some incredible conversion possibility.
That's the thing, is like there's these genres that once you find your niche, the thing you like, then that's where you, in any of these cases, I go, okay, well, for my wife, Stardew Valley was it. Like that was the one that got her into being a like full-fledged gamer. And I'm like, okay, where do I go from here?
Mm-hmm.
That's where we go to Animal Crossing. That's where we go to Minecraft. I was like, there's this like the farming simulation side of this, and we have leveled up to the point where she is playing Breath of the Wild. That's right. And I'm
Breath of the Wild household.
Yeah. So Eric, what were your other ones there?
Well, my final one is, after weaning them on some relatively accessible, relatively, easy, let's just say, experiences, my final one would be Super Meat Boy. Genuinely, you know what? You've had fun up until now.
Now it's time to suffer.
There's a massive world of games like this out there, and you gonna learn today.
Yeah, I feel like that is a thing, and it's in and of itself. I mean, Seth was joking about Dark Souls at the beginning, but I think there are people that don't know that they like games like that. That they're intimidated by it's too hard. But if they give it a shot, then they're like, actually, I really like this game a lot. And there you have it.
There you have it.
I will point out for Sean, who, if he's still watching, that Xenoblade was not in this list at all. So
No, yeah, Xenoblade isn't very accessible. I will
that's not
say
that is not one to show
No.
in your first 5.
yeah, I was thinking of one more just because, and I know I didn't order mine or whatever. I was just kind of going.
We're just going here.
Yeah, but I will shout out. I think Miss Pac-Man is a really good, kind of
how could I forget about Pac-Man?
early introduction game, because I mean the controls are like as simplistic as they can possibly be. It's anybody who's ever done a maze of any kind can play Pac-Man.
There you go. Good
and
call.
it has that skill ceiling. You know what I mean? So I gotta
Good call.
shout out Miss Pac-Man.
So this last question here is I'm not 100% sure if this is a question or more of an idea for something to stream. It comes from Alexandra asked on Spotify. Can you guys do Splatoon 2 Octo expansion? Have you guys played the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion? Do you recommend it? Were you able to beat it?
Oh, no. That final boss is I tried for hours.
Really?
Hours.
I have heard that it is hard.
It is
very hard.
Really?
The final boss is. You didn't find the final boss hard of the Octo expansion?
I mean, I'm not trying to come off as like
Seth.
show offy.
What?
I'm serious. I didn't have a problem with it at all.
Really?
No, I was a little. I thought you guys were trolling for a second. Actually,
No, I've heard that the Octo expansion is pretty tough. It's significantly harder than the base story. It
is harder than the base game. I will say that. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I don't know.
Wow. I tried for so long to beat the final boss of the Octo expansion, and I wasn't able to do it. That's the only thing that I had left.
Mewtwo says those missions were hard. Yeah.
Really?
Seth,
I don't know.
You didn't know?
I genuinely thought you guys were trolling. I'm not trying to be like a jerk.
Like me with Spelunky 2. When I convinced everybody in our community to buy Spelunky 2, and then they were like, Andros, this game is so hard. What did you do? Why did we get this? I'm like, I didn't realize it was this hard.
Spelunky is hard. I remember
think
my
about
first.
it.
Yeah, I remember my first experience with Spelunky, and I remember beating my head against it. The thing is it's like all those games. You have to just learn it. You have to learn its language.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like genuinely. I don't remember. I mean, it's been years since I've played Octo expansion, but like I don't remember having trouble with that final boss at all. I really enjoyed Octo expansion. I thought it was better than the base game.
It was really good. The weird kind of train map layout was still kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of interesting missions in there. It wasn't they're not really set up like mini games, but more like individual challenge rooms in many cases.
Right. Yeah.
But it was really fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I liked it a lot too. And it's part of expansion pack now, so
yep.
It is. Good plug.
Alexandra, I have not played it because I do not have Splatoon 2. And at this point, I am just waiting for Splatoon 3.
Yeah, now 3 is about to come out.
I'm not going to get
fair.
2. I don't think. I don't have time to play it, and I'm going to jump on the 3 train. Be where everybody else is at, because I think it looks like it's going to be fun. So I'm hoping, hopefully Octo Expansion 2.0 or whatever we get for Splatoon 3 will be.
Well, yeah, hopefully the single player of Splatoon 3 took all of those lessons from Octo Expansion and is going to be even better.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, with that, I think that's a wrap on tonight's episode of Nintendo Pals Podcast. Thanks again so much to Seth and Eric for coming on. I want to give you guys one more chance here to plug your show, your stuff. Tell us all about All N.
Sure. You want me to do it, or you want me to take it?
Go ahead.
All right. So Eric
I like
and I
it when you say it.
Oh, Eric and I are the two co-hosts of All In Nintendo Podcast, which is our weekly Nintendo variety show. Every week we cover, the weekly news. We talk about what we've been playing, just like any good Nintendo podcast. But we also have a bunch of other segments. We are a variety show. Every week, our kind of prime directive is to bring you guys interesting topics and a lot of variety to the space. So every week we highlight an indie game on the Switch eShop. Every week we produce a top 5 that can be, very fun and researched and esoteric. Like the one everybody points to is we did top 5 fossils
Yeah.
in Nintendo
I still
history.
really love that one.
I do too. I thought that was one of our best lists. Genuinely, everybody points back to that one. So we do fun top fives every week on the show, and then we have kind of a revolving fourth segment, which can be anything from a guest interview. Like this week, we're interviewing Stephen Frost from Digital Eclipse about TMNT, the Cowabunga Collection, and Atari 50, and I even got to ask him about Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
So
that's a legitimately fantastic interview.
It's a great interview.
Definitely check it out.
Yeah, great interview
really
and
good.
Really
really
cool. So we do.
I said
but
that.
we also,
I said that kind of jealous. Like they're always
really
so
good
good.
interviews.
Gosh dang it, they're so good at their podcast. No, it's really great.
We also do. We'll do retrospectives. We'll do full game reviews. Like we're gearing up for a Xenoblade one. We just did a Live Alive review. So we kind of do like a main segment, and we try to keep it very different every week. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, that's All In. I highly recommend it. I listen to All In every week, so you guys gotta check these guys out. They are working hard, and it shows. I mean, I always tell people when they're asking for show recommendations that All In is always in that list, and I'm like, I will not be surprised when they are purchased by some big company like IGN to be the thing.
We will sell out, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
DMs are open.
Yeah.
It is so professionally
done.
Make
me full time, please.
Yes. It's so professionally done. I
thank you very much.
I just gotta give credit where credit is due. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. All In Podcast on Facebook, at All In Podcast on Twitter, youtube.com/All In Podcast, twitch.tv/All In Podcast. Patreon.com/All In Podcast. We do a ton of stuff. Check it out.
Yes, and if you would like to follow us, and you've listened to this point in the show, you can find us by searching Nintendo Pals. We are at Nintendo Pals on Twitter, at Nintendo Pals Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and we are Nintendo Pals on YouTube. We have 3 YouTube channels: Nintendo Pals Podcast, and Nintendo Pals VODs, where you can catch the VODs from our Twitch streams. So Nintendo Pals on Twitch as well, Nintendo_Pals. We're doing a lot of stuff. I'm doing a ton of things. And we also have a Patreon. That is patreon.com/Nintendo Pals. And speaking of, we always close out the show with our special Patreon shout out, the Patreon Poke Rap. I want to give a special shout out here to DatFast, who recently joined in the Patreon, at the Patreon Pal zone, whatever we call it. But we have not yet added you to the Poke Rap. Mike is off this week, and he's the rapper, so I can't like, I couldn't get it in there. So this is your shout out right here, DatFast. But we will get you in on the Poke Rap. Don't you worry. DatFast, of course, our mutual buddy from the Retro Logic podcast, the third in our trio of sister podcasts, All In, Nintendo Pals, and Retro Logic. Fantastic shows. But here is that shout out. Thank you all again, everybody, for listening. And here is the Patreon Poke Rap.
We gotta rap some Patreon. You just do the singing. I'll take care of the hard part. Let's get it on.
We want to be the best there ever was. And shout out our pals over on Patreon.
OD Riz or Retro Logic Dan. You dog the game or Slim or Spider Shan. Solo something, Brian Eck.
Little Miss Seven and Cosmic.
Catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Patreon.
K-Mac and Tina, third strongest more. Tim the Nintendo Dad and Seth Sturgill. Patreon pals at every tier. Join up now, get your name in here.
Gotta catch 'em all, gotta catch 'em all.
Yeah.
Gotta catch 'em all, gotta catch 'em all.
Yeah.
Gotta catch 'em all. Patreon. Let's get 150 or more, yeah, please. To be a Patreon donor is your destiny.
Thank you all so much for listening. And thanks to everybody for your support. And we'll talk to y'all next week.